Tong, you. Zhou Liren looked at Yin Tong, who had changed drastically and could not speak for a long time. Yin Tong was very surprised that Zhou Liren suddenly came back to Xiang City. She was also stunned for a moment, and her heart was filled with mixed feelings. Yin Tong also could not tell whether she loved or hated Zhou Liren, or both. However, seeing that Zhou Liren was even more down and out compared to the last time she left home, she felt very uncomfortable in her heart. At this moment, Zhou Hao spoke. "All right, let's go." Zhou Liren and Yin Tong were stunned and said in unison, "Where to?" Zhou Hao did not answer directly. He only said to Yin Tong, "Mom, take your ID card with you too." Then he walked to the door. Yin Tong did not know where Zhou Hao was going, but after looking at Zhou Liren in the hall, she also followed him. Zhou Liren frowned. He seemed to be thinking of something. He got up and followed her out. Yin Tong drove the Mercedes-Benz back, so after she went to the parking lot, Zhou Hao opened the car door and sat in the driver's seat. When Zhou Liren saw the black Mercedes-Benz, he was stunned again, but he also sat in the back seat with Yin Tong. Zhou Hao did not say a word and started the car and left Lakeview Manor. Yin Tong and Zhou Liren sat in the back seat. However, they were far away from each other. Zhou Liren looked at Zhou Hao, who was sitting in the driver's seat in the front, and could not help but ask Yin Tong, Tong, what happened? Why did you move here and buy a Mercedes-Benz?" Yin Tong glanced at Zhou Liren, then glanced at Zhou Hao. Seeing that Zhou Hao did not have any reaction, she said to Zhou Liren, "That time you took away Xiao Hao's school fees. Our family does not have much money left, so we borrowed money from uncle." At this moment, Zhou Hao snorted lightly in front of her. Yin Tong looked at him and said, "That time, Xiao Hao took $20,000 from Big Uncle. Except for the money for the tuition fees, he used all of it to buy stocks. Later, Xiao Hao won another $5 million from the lottery. Adding the money we earned from buying shares, we opened a restaurant. The restaurant's business was very good, and there were more and more branches. After that, we opened a cake shop. Until now, we have already set up a Tongguang Food Limited company. Furthermore, Xiao Hao is also doing some investment business." Zhou Liren was stunned when he heard this. "So you guys have earned a lot of money now, so you moved here and bought cars?" Yin Tong frowned when she saw the unusual glint in Zhou Liren's eyes, but she still nodded and replied, "Yes, you can say that. But didn't Xiao Hao just go to high school this year? How can he do investment business?" Zhou Liren asked. Yin Tong was about to answer when she heard Zhou Hao in front of her say coldly, "This has nothing to do with you." Perhaps it was because the current Zhou Hao's appearance and temperament were too different from before, and he would even give off a faintly discernible chi when he spoke. Zhou Liren couldn't help but shrink his neck, not daring to speak anymore. Yin Tong looked at the father and son pair. Although she didn't say anything, she shook her head in her heart. Not long after, Zhou Hao drove the car to the front of a building. Yin Tong and Zhou Liren saw through the window that there was a sign hanging in front of the door of the building, Guangdong Province Xiang City Civil Affairs Bureau. Yin Tong was still confused, but Zhou Liren's face changed. Zhou Hao had driven the car straight to the yard of the building. After getting out of the car, he took Yin Tong and Zhou Liren to the Civil Affairs Bureau office upstairs. "Sir, may I ask if there is anything I can help you with?" There was a man and a woman on duty in the office. The woman politely asked when she saw Zhou Hao and the other two coming in. Zhou Hao pointed to Yin Tong and Zhou Liren behind him and said indifferently, "Help the two of them settle the divorce procedures." The two people in the office were slightly stunned. Usually, the ones who came to settle the divorce procedures were husband and wife. They rarely brought a third person over. When Yin Tong heard Zhou Hao's words, her expression also changed. She grabbed Zhou Hao's arm and said, "Xiao Hao, you." Zhou Hao turned around and looked at Yin Tong. "Mom," he said, "no need to say any more. Divorce with him. From now on, he has nothing to do with our family." But Yin Tong still wanted to say. Zhou Hao interrupted her and said, "Mom, think about it. For so many years, has he ever done his duty as a husband and beautifully did his duty as a father? Enough." At this moment, Zhou Liren finally could not help but roar, "Zhou Hao, do you still think I am your father?" Zhou Liren's roar stunned Yin Tong and the two staff members in the office. Zhou Hao's expression did not change at all. Instead, he asked the female staff member, "May I ask if there is an independent room here? We need to unanimously agree." "Yes, there is," the woman said. "It's right next door. I'll bring you there." So, the woman brought Zhou Hao and the other two to a guest room next door. She poured tea for them and quickly left to avoid hindering the discussion between the three families. After sitting down, Yin Tong said to Zhou Hao, "Xiao Hao, don't be like this, okay? Mom never thought of getting a divorce." Zhou Hao glanced at Zhou Liren opposite him. Mom, do you think he is qualified to be your husband and my father? Just as Zhou Liren was about to speak, Zhou Hao stared at him and said coldly, you can ask yourself. For so many years, how many days have you stayed at home? Have you ever cared about my mother? Have you ever cared about me? Ask yourself if you have the right to stay in this house. Xiao Hao. Yin Tong pushed Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao ignored her and continued staring at Zhou Liren, whose face was getting uglier and uglier. Let me tell you, with my mother's condition back then, if it wasn't for you deceiving my mother's feelings, if it wasn't for you deceiving my mother's body, perhaps my mother would have lived a peaceful and happy life a long time ago. It was you who ruined my mother's life. The more he spoke, the more his emotions rose and fell. The resentment he had for Zhou Liren over the years had also been expressed. In her previous life, Yin Tong was suppressed by life because of Zhou Liren. In the end, she died from liver cancer. Therefore, even though Zhou Hao had changed her and Yin Tong's lives a lot, it was not an exaggeration to say that Zhou Liren had ruined Yin Tong's life. Listening to Zhou Hao's words, Zhou Liren clenched his fists tightly. His face turned green and white for a moment. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said to Zhou Hao, but no matter what, I am still your father. How can you treat your father like this? Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning? I have already shown mercy to you. Zhou Hao wasn't as agitated as Zhou Liren, but the calmer he was, the colder he was. To tell you the truth, I have always thought that I have no father, because the one who gave birth to me was always my mother. In my world, there is no father. Zhou Liren was so angry that he gasped for air, and his chest heaved up and down. After a long time, he said, you want me to divorce your mother? All right, but according to the law, if we divorce, I can get half of your mother's property. You guys can take it. Then I'll agree to divorce your mother. Yin Tong was stunned when she heard this. Zhou Hao, on the other hand, did not get angry. Instead, he smiled and said to Zhou Liren, you are really shameless. I have to admire you. But the smile on his face faded. I am not afraid to tell you. As long as I am willing, I can make you divorce my mother, and you will not get a single cent. Indeed, if Zhou Hao used his power, it would not be difficult for Yin Tong and Zhou Liren to get a divorce. The court would not give Zhou Liren any property, not to mention that Zhou Liren did not do his duty as a husband or a father. He did not have the right to get any property. Zhou Hao said, but you are my father after all. I will only have me if I have you. Although I can't cut off my flesh and bones like Neza in ancient times to repay you for giving birth. But I think I don't have to owe you anything anymore. Let's talk about money. How about this? You divorce my mother. Then I'll give you 5 million. This should be enough for you to spend your entire life. When Zhou Liren heard this, his eyelids twitched slightly, but he still didn't say anything. Zhou Hao smiled. 8 million? Zhou Liren's expression changed slightly, but he still didn't say anything. How about 10 million? Zhou Hao asked again. Xiao Hao, that's enough. Zhou Liren did not speak, but Yin Tong, who was beside Zhou Hao, spoke. At this moment, she already had tears streaming down her face. Although Zhou Liren didn't treat Zhou Hao well, Zhou Liren and Zhou Hao were still father and son. Yin Tong didn't want to see them fall into such a situation. When Zhou Hao saw Yin Tong cry, his expression immediately changed. That kind of cold and ruthless expression also disappeared. Mom, he is still your father. Yin Tong said in a deep voice, even if he is not, you are still his son. As a son, you cannot treat your father like this. Yin Tong's concept was very traditional. Even if Zhou Liren did not do it right, Zhou Hao was still his son, so she could not treat Zhou Liren like this. Zhou Hao also knew Yin Tong's traditional personality. Because of this, in her previous life, Yin Tong was not willing to divorce Zhou Liren until the moment she died. She always maintained the identity of Madame Zhou. But, Mom, Zhou Hao still wanted to persuade Yin Tong. But Yin Tong did not wait for him to finish speaking and said firmly, if you want me to divorce your dad, if you don't want to acknowledge your dad, then even I, as your mother, won't acknowledge him. Late at night, in a room in the center of Xiang City, a young man and a woman were enjoying the fish and water in bed. This man and woman were Zhou Hao and Situ Jianying. Zhou Hao bent down and buried his head in Situ Jianying's ample and soft chest. Situ Jianying pressed tightly on Zhou Hao's head. Her neck and chest were covered with a layer of sweat. After an unknown amount of time, the two of them finally stopped moving and laid on the bed. Situ Jianying lay in Zhou Hao's arms. Zhou Hao looked at the dark ceiling and gently caressed Situ Jianying's pink back with his right hand. How, what happened to you today? Situ Jianying said faintly, Like a tiger. I am going to be crushed by you. Zhou Hao smiled faintly, but there was some melancholy in his eyes. He looked at Situ Jianying, who was in his arms, and said, "Did you tell your family not to go back tonight?" Situ Jianying nodded slightly and put her face on Zhou Hao's chest. "I told my mother that I was spending the night at a female classmate's house. I had already greeted that female classmate, so my parents would not doubt it. What about you? You aren't going back tonight either?" Zhou Hao shook his head lightly. "No. Why are you in such a good mood today? Did you call me here?" Situ Jianying's chin was on Zhou Hao's chest. She looked at Zhou Hao's tough face and asked, "I ran out from home." Zhou Hao said faintly. Today, he met Zhou Liren again. In his heart, he planned to let Zhou Liren and Yin Tong divorce and completely break away from Zhou Liren's relationship. However, not only did Yin Tong not agree to divorce Zhou Liren, she even let Zhou Liren go back home to live. Zhou Hao was not afraid of anything. He was only afraid of Yin Tong. If Yin Tong made up her mind, even Zhou Hao would not be able to change her mind. Due to Zhou Hao's hatred for Zhou Liren's father, he did not want to see him at all, so he simply ran out of the house. This was also the first time in Zhou Hao's 2 lifetimes that he was angry with Yin Tong. After coming out of Guanghu Villa, Zhou Hao originally wanted to go to Li Ruolin's place, but he remembered that she wanted to have a working meeting with other English teachers. So Zhou Hao found Wen Xiangdong and asked him to find a house for him to temporarily settle down in. Coincidentally, Wen Xiangdong had 2 rooms and a living room in a residential area in the city center, so he let Zhou Hao live there first. Feeling depressed, Zhou Hao called Situ Jianying over as well. After running out of the house for half a day, Yin Tong did not call Zhou Hao once. Zhou Hao knew that she was determined to bring Zhou Liren back home this time. Zhou Hao knew that his mother was a very traditional woman, so he was not willing to divorce Zhou Liren. Furthermore, Zhou Hao himself couldn't be sure that Yin Tong would be able to get a divorce. Did he really have no feelings for Zhou Liren? As the saying goes, one night husband and wife for 100 nights. Although Yin Tong rarely mentioned Zhou Liren in front of Zhou Hao, this did not mean that she and Zhou Liren had no feelings for each other. Thinking about this, Zhou Hao felt that his decision to let Yin Tong and Zhou Liren divorce was a little reckless. However, even if Yin Tong still had feelings for Zhou Liren, Zhou Hao would not forgive him. And whether it was in his previous life or in this life, Zhou Hao did not have the experience of being with his father. So he was not used to it and did not want to be with Zhou Liren. Under the same roof, Yin Qingqing and Wang Shijuan, who knew about this matter, called Zhou Hao separately. Yin Qingqing told Zhou Hao that Zhou Liren had moved to the Lakeview Manor and was temporarily staying in the guest room next to Yin Tong. At the same time, she also advised Zhou Hao not to be angry with Yin Tong and go back as soon as possible, but Zhou Hao did not agree. Wang Shijuan originally wanted to come and accompany Zhou Hao, but she did not want to and did not want to lie to Lu Shiping, so she could only give up. "Jianing, do you think that I am to me? Father is too much?" Zhou Hao looked confused. Situ Jianying said, "I am not you. My father is not your father either, so I don't know how you feel. I can't comment on your behavior either. However, I only know that no matter what you do or what you want to do, I will unconditionally support you." Zhou Hao smiled and kissed Situ Jianying on the forehead. "Jianying, thank you." Taking a deep breath, Zhou Hao suddenly felt that his heart was stifled. First, he met Big Boss from the First Army in Taro, who he had never seen before. It made Zhou Hao feel pressured for the first time, and then he met Zhou Liren. It made Zhou Hao feel flustered. Shaking his head, Zhou Hao did not think about Zhou Liren. Instead, he thought about Big Boss and Taro. After meeting these 2 supreme experts, Zhou Hao finally felt that there was always someone better than him. In the past, with the divine effect of the amber fruit and his special ability, Zhou Hao was able to remain calm and composed in front of any expert. But now, Big Boss and Taro were on par with him in terms of strength. This made Zhou Hao feel pressured for the first time. If he completely let go of his hands and feet to fight, Zhou Hao didn't have the confidence to agree to Big Boss or Taro, but at least he could protect himself. Zhou Hao thought about his advantages. He was cultivating the Qi nourishment records, which was created by Hua Tuo. As Hua Tuo was a medical saint, therefore, this internal cultivation technique was in sync with the human body's health, and it also contained the concept of Taoism. It was very profound. At the same time, Zhou Hao also learned the 5 birds play. This was also a martial art created by Hua Tuo based on the 5 types of ferocious beasts. Its moves were flexible and contained the Tao of nature. It was even more powerful than martial arts such as tiger, crane, double form, or dragon claw hand. Furthermore, Zhou Hao had consumed a rare medicine that gathered the natural essence of the amber fruit. It allowed Zhou Hao to naturally produce genuine aura in his body before he practiced inner force. The genuine aura was unimaginably strong. In particular, after Zhou Hao started cultivating the Qi nourishment records, the effect of the amber fruit had even allowed the amber fruits of the Qi nourishment records to circulate continuously in Zhou Hao's body. There was no sign of exhaustion at all. Zhou Hao did not know the characteristics of Big Boss's and Tailuo's inner force skills, so he was not sure if they could be like him. The genuine auras in his body could be continuously circulated, and his inner force could not be stopped. If Big Boss and the Wind Devil's genuine aura could not be continuously circulated, Zhou Hao could use the delaying symbol art and use his inner force's characteristics to wear down their inner force and win. Furthermore, after absorbing the amber fruit's medicinal effects, Zhou Hao's physique became immune to all poisons. He was not afraid of any poison and would not develop any diseases. I can be immune to all poisons, but Big Boss and Takitsubu Fengma can't, Zhou Hao thought in his heart. Suddenly, a light bulb lit up in Zhou Hao's heart. He couldn't help but shout out with joy on his face. Yes, you can do that. Situ Jianying, who was lying in Zhou Hao's arms and quietly enjoying his warmth, was shocked by his sudden shout. She asked curiously, "What's wrong?" Zhou Hao saw that he had scared Situ Jianying. He hurriedly stroked her hair and smiled. "Nothing, I just thought of some things." He thought about it. He had a constitution that did not fear poison, but neither Big Boss nor Taro the Wind Fiend. This was his advantage. In other words, under the same circumstances, Zhou Hao's ability to resist poison was far superior to Big Boss and Taro. Therefore, Zhou Hao thought of using poison to deal with them. In the Shinong's herbal classics, other than the medicinal formula that could cure diseases and save people, there were also dozens of poison formulas that could harm people and take their lives. All of them were deeply engraved in Zhou Hao's mind. Just like the yellow spring water that Zhou Hao sold to the Nanjing military region and the 7 Days of Peace, the 7 Days of Peace that could make people unconscious for 7 days and 7 nights was not considered fatal. However, the yellow spring water could make the blood of the poisoned person completely coagulate within 30 minutes. If they did not take the antidote in time, they would not be able to survive. Except for the yellow spring water and 7 Days of Peace. Other than that, there are many other types of poison that either maimed or killed. Zhou Hao originally thought that these poison formulas would not be of much use. It would be fine as long as they did not spread out and become a disaster. But now, Zhou Hao thought of using these poison formulas to defend against the enemy. Putting aside the fact that Big Boss was the commander of the First Army, Grand Taro Fengmo, and Zhou Hao had been enemies since the beginning, and they would definitely meet again in the future. Zhou Hao thought to himself, if he poisoned Taro, even if he couldn't kill him immediately, he could at least use his genuine aura to force the poison out. This way, Zhou Hao would have a great advantage in dealing with him. Zhou Hao was even considering whether he should learn from the demons and martial arts novels and develop some poison palm techniques to deal with experts like Taro. The most powerful poison palm that Zhou Hao had ever known was the dark mysterious divine palm of the dark mysterious elders in the Heaven Sword and Dragon Slaying records. The poison in his palm was the coldest and coldest in the world. It caused the protagonist Zhang Wuji to suffer in his childhood. It was only after he cultivated the Nine Suns divine art, which was the strongest and strongest in the world, that the poison in his body was neutralized. In martial arts novels, many people who cultivated poison in their palms were evil people. The poison in their palms was specifically used to harm the protagonist or other righteous martial artists. However, in Zhou Hao's opinion, there was no distinction between good and evil in martial arts. It only depended on the person who used martial arts. He had never thought of himself as a pedantic gentleman who would do anything to his enemies. Therefore, if Poison Palm could really deal with Supreme Expert, who was like Taro, Zhou Hao would definitely not feel any psychological burden. After making up his mind, Zhou Hao planned to let Xiao Nanyue and Xiao Jiming, who had been collecting herbs in various famous mountains and rivers, help him find the herbs for the poison, so that he could concoct them as soon as possible and prepare for the revenge of Taro. The next day, because Situ Jianying still had to deal with her parents, she could not stay at Zhou Hao's place for too long. Zhou Hao did not want to go back to see Zhou Liren, nor did he want to stay here alone, so he went to Li Rulin's place for a day. On Monday, Zhou Hao came to Yining Middle School to attend classes like the other students. After all, he was still a student, so he came to school more often when he was free. When he arrived at grade 15 and class 15, Zhou Hao saw that many students were already in the classroom. Because Zhou Hao was in the limelight during the basketball match of the Freshman Cup, not only his classmates, but also the students of the other classes recognized him. When Zhou Hao entered the classroom, many students took the initiative to greet him. At this time, he saw that Wang Shijuan and Situ Jianying had already arrived, so he walked straight over. Wang Shijuan and Situ Jianying were desk mates and sat in the middle seat to the back. Seeing Zhou Hao coming over, The two girls smiled at him, as warm as the morning sun. Wang Shijuan said to Zhou Hao, "You haven't had breakfast yet, right?" Zhou Hao shrugged. "I woke up late in the morning, so I was too lazy to make breakfast." Wang Shijuan gave him a look of, "I knew you would do this." Then she took out a lunchbox and gave it to him. Zhou Hao opened the lunchbox and saw that it was his favorite fried noodles. Joy appeared on his face. He took the chopsticks that Situ Jianying handed over and started to eat heartily. He even asked, "Shijuan, did you make it? How can my culinary skills be so good?" "It was Aunt Tong who made it. She knew that you would not make breakfast by yourself. That's why she asked me to bring it to you," Wang Shijuan said. Zhou Hao paused and thought, no wonder this smell was so familiar. It was actually Yin Tong who made it. He then heard Wang Shijuan say, "Zhou Hao, actually Aunt Tong is very concerned about you. Why do you have to sully with her like this?" Zhou Hao shook his head. "I didn't deliberately sully with her. I just don't want to see that fellow." He asked Wang Shijuan, "By the way, how is he?" "Him? Uncle Zhou?" Wang Shijuan said, "Nothing. He has been at home for the past 2 days and has not gone anywhere. However, Sister Qingqing told me that the night after you left, he moved into Aunt Tong's room to sleep." Zhou Hao was stunned. Zhou Liren and Yin Tong had returned to the same room so quickly. It could be seen that they still had feelings for each other. Of course, Zhou Hao had also thought that it was Zhou Liren's flowery words to his mother. However, he could no longer interfere. After all, this was a matter between the two of them, and it was very difficult for others to interfere in the relationship. So even if he was their son, it would not be of any use. As he thought about it, Zhou Hao saw Gao Jingyi come. He saw Zhou Hao with Wang Shijuan and Situ Jianying. Gao Jingyi's expression changed. But looking at Zhou Hao, her cheeks involuntarily blushed again. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something to Zhou Hao, but in the end, she did not say anything. She turned around and returned to her seat. Soon, all the students in the class had arrived. Since Zhou Hao had just come to school at this time, he wasn't able to arrange a seat for him at the last minute. So he sat in an empty seat behind the classroom. In any case, he was taller than the other students, so there was no problem with his sight. Lu Shichao's grades fell drastically in the beginning of the semester, so Li Rulin let Luo Hui, who had better grades, give him group-by-group tutoring. The two of them naturally became deskmates. Seeing Lu Shichao doing his homework under Luo Hui's strict urging, Zhou Hao smiled and shook his head, thinking that the fate of this pair of enemies was really not shallow. As for Gao Jingyi, who was originally Luo Hui's deskmate, she was now sitting with another girl. The first period was English class. So Li Rulin came very quickly. When she saw Zhou Hao sitting at the back, her face blushed a little, because she remembered the embarrassing scene between Zhou Hao and her last night. "Zhou Hao, can you see the blackboard when you sit there?" Li Rulin straightened her face and asked Zhou Hao. "Teacher Li, no problem," Zhou Hao said, "but I'm worried that my studies will not be able to keep up. Are you also going to arrange a group of classmates for me?" Li Rulin looked at Zhou Hao and secretly cursed in her heart. "You're an enemy. With your strength, even if you don't go to school, it won't be hard for you to get good grades. What's the use of one group?" She naturally could not say what she was thinking, so she asked the students below the stage, "Students, are any of you willing to help tutor Zhou Hao's homework?" When Li Rulin said this, many of the students below revealed excited expressions. Clearly, they wanted to tutor Zhou Hao, because this way, they could become deskmates with Zhou Hao. Those boys wanted to be Zhou Hao's deskmates because they wanted to ask him for pointers on football skills. As for the girls, Zhou Hao was tall and handsome, and he played basketball well. He really attracted a lot of girls outside the class. However, these girls were too shy to say anything, so they didn't dare to directly raise their hands to recommend themselves. Li Rulin looked at the extraordinary splendor in the eyes of the little girls below the stage, and she secretly shook her head, thinking that this enemy of hers really did not lack peach blossoms no matter where she went. She saw Wang Shijuan suddenly raise her hand and timidly said, "Teacher Li, I am willing to tutor Zhou Hao." After Wang Shijuan said this, Li Rulin saw Zhou Hao smiling from behind, and the other students looked at Wang Shijuan strangely, which made the shy Wang Shijuan immediately lower her head. She glared at Zhou Hao but could not bear to reject Wang Shijuan. After hesitating for a moment, she said, "All right, you will tutor Zhou Hao." Then, without needing Li Rulin to ask her to move to the seat beside Zhou Hao, Wang Shijuan had already carried her school bag and automatically went to sit beside Zhou Hao. But when she noticed the strange gazes of her classmates around her, she lowered her head deeply and did not dare to speak to Zhou Hao anymore. Li Rulin shook her head in her heart. When faced with Wang Shijuan, this kind of girl that people would love to see, not to mention Zhou Hao, even she herself could not help but feel pity for her. After that, She arranged a girl to be Situ Jianying's deskmate. Shijuan, my homework is not good. You have to properly tutor me. After class, Zhou Hao smiled at Wang Shijuan beside him. Wang Shijuan's face turned red. She saw that the other students were all looking at the blackboard in front of her and did not pay attention to her. She then whispered to Zhou Hao, "Your homework is so good. Why do you need me to tutor you?" She knew that Zhou Hao's learning was much better than hers. "Then why did you volunteer to tutor me?" Zhou Hao looked at Wang Shijuan with amusement. I came because I saw you sitting here alone. I was afraid you would be lonely." Wang Shijuan thought of an excuse. Seeing Wang Shijuan's shy and angry cute look, Zhou Hao could not help but reach out from under the table to grab Wang Shijuan's hand and play with it carefully. Wang Shijuan's face instantly turned red and wanted to pull her hand back. She struggled but did not struggle out of Zhou Hao's devil palm. Then she nervously looked around and saw that the others were still in class. As she and Zhou Hao were at the back of the classroom, no one noticed them. That was why she heaved a sigh of relief. During the entire lesson, Zhou Hao listened to Li Ruolin's lecture while teasing Wang Shijuan, who was beside him. It was very satisfying. Although Li Ruolin was teaching and she did not see Zhou Hao teasing Wang Shijuan at the bottom of the table, but when she saw Wang Shijuan lowering her head with a red face, Li Ruolin knew that Zhou Hao did not do anything good. She naturally would not expose Zhou Hao either. She would only stare at him from time to time as a warning during the lecture. Of course, Zhou Hao would not care about this kind of warning. After that, grade 15 and 5 would have to go to the sports field to attend their physical education class. The physical education teacher was a woman in her 30s. Although she wasn't tall, it could be seen that she was very healthy. She should be doing physical exercise frequently. The sports committee member was the center of attention who had competed with Zhou Hao previously. Under his lead, after everyone had warmed up, they ran 2 laps around the sports field according to the rules. It was originally 2 rows of boys and girls running, but Situ Jianying and Wang Shijuan deliberately fell behind and followed Zhou Hao. At this time, the 2 girls were both wearing the school uniform short-sleeved shirts. Wang Shijuan was not much, but Situ Jianying's figure was much more mature than her peers. As she ran, the pair of busty breasts on her chest kept jumping, making Zhou Hao's heart burst with anger. Situ Jianying could naturally sense Zhou Hao's gaze, but she did not dodge and instead deliberately raised her chest. Zhou Hao asked with a smile, "Jianying, when you are running, will you always lean forward? It is very difficult to maintain your balance." "How do you know?" Situ Jianying was a little surprised. "It is really like that. When I am running, I always lean forward." "Sigh, actually, my burden is also very heavy." Wang Shijuan heard Situ Jianying's words and lowered her head to look at her slightly bulging breasts, which were far from the size of Situ Jianying's breasts. Then she looked at Zhou Hao pitifully and was very dissatisfied with Situ Jianying's, not knowing how to appreciate happiness in her body. Seeing Wang Shijuan's pitiful look like a kitten, Zhou Hao and Situ Jianying both smiled. Situ Jianying hugged Wang Shijuan's shoulder and smiled. "Shijuan, it's fine. Aren't you developing? And look at those female classmates in our class. Many of them are younger than you. You are already considered not bad." She lowered her voice. "Besides, don't you massage every day? You'll grow up very soon. When the time comes, you'll give Zhou Hao, that pervert, a surprise." Wang Shijuan nodded with a red face. Her large eyes flickered as she looked at Zhou Hao. Her eyes were filled with anticipation. She saw Zhou Hao glance at Situ Jianying. "You better not teach my Shijuan badly." "Che." Situ Jianying looked back at him with disdain. "I don't know who taught Shijuan." At this time, another class in sports class was running around the field, but the direction they were running in was the opposite of Zhou Hao's class. When those boys passed by Zhou Hao and Situ Jianying, they couldn't help but look at Situ Jianying, because when she ran over, her chest that kept moving up and down was really too eye-catching. "Humph." Situ Jianying snorted coldly. It didn't matter if Zhou Hao saw her body or touched it, but when other men looked at her, it made her very angry. The students nowadays were not as open-minded as they would be in the future. Many of them were very shy, so when they heard Situ Jianying's cold snort and saw the cold expression on her face, they quickly turned their eyes away and looked away. However, the last boy in the class had a pair of crafty eyes that lingered on Situ Jianying and Wang Shijuan. He did not restrain himself at all. When he saw the surging waves on Situ Jianying's chest, his eyes were even more radiant and he fiercely swallowed his saliva. Zhou Hao frowned because this very rude male student was Wei Yang, who had competed with Zhou Hao the other day. This class, which also attended physical education classes with Zhou Hao, was also grade 1, class 7. "What are you looking at?" Situ Jianying also recognized Wei Yang, and Zhou Hao, who was beside her, also frowned. She immediately called out softly, Wei Yang did not expect Situ Jianying to really scold him. He was slightly stunned and also said with a smile, "If you don't look, how would I know I look at you? Could it be that you have been paying attention to me?" You. Situ Jianying was not a kind man and was about to speak again. Zhou Hao, who was beside her, tugged at her sleeve. "Forget it. Don't lower yourself to his level. Let's go." Since Zhou Hao had said so, Situ Jianying no longer paid attention to Wei Yang. She only gave him a fierce glare and continued to follow Zhou Hao. As for Wang Shijuan, she did not even look at Wei Yang from the beginning to the end. Seeing Situ Jianying so obedient to Zhou Hao, a trace of surprise flashed across Wei Yang's eyes. After that, his face turned ugly. After they finished running, the sports teacher let Zhou Hao and the others move around freely. The sports committee brought a few boys to bring some sports equipment over. Everyone picked up their favorite sports equipment and went to play. Because of the modifications, the sports field in Ening Middle School was covered with a layer of grass again, and walking on it was very comfortable. Therefore, Zhou Hao and Lu Shichao took a soccer ball and played with the other boys. Situ Jianying and Wang Shijuan stood at the side of the field and cheered Zhou Hao on. Compared to basketball, Zhou Hao did not play football often. However, with his current skills, he played very well. It made the girls who were watching at the side of the court cheer. While playing, Zhou Hao suddenly heard a painful cry from the badminton field. Looking at the direction of the sound, he saw a girl sitting on the ground, rubbing her left ankle with her hand, as if she had twisted it. And that girl was actually Gao Jingyi. Furthermore, there were two girls with unfriendly expressions beside her, seemingly students of grade 17. "Old Lu, you guys play first. I'll go and take a look," Zhou Hao said to Lu Shichao and the others and ran over to the badminton field. Situ Jianying and Wang Shijuan also followed Zhou Hao over. Lu Shichao saw that the injured girl was Gao Jingyi and Luo Hui was also there, so he also followed. "What's going on?" Zhou Hao quickly came to Gao Jingyi's side. Gao Jingyi looked up and saw Zhou Hao. Her face was filled with joy, but when she saw Wang Shijuan and Situ Jianying following behind him, that joy disappeared in an instant. She turned her face away and no longer looked at Zhou Hao. Luo Hui pointed at the two girls from Class 7 and said to Zhou Hao, "Jingyi and I were playing badminton here and had a good time." They suddenly walked over and said that Jingyi ran into them when she went to school in the morning and insisted that Jingyi apologize to them. If Jingyi refused, they pushed her down. "Don't malign them," the short-haired girl on the left said to Luo Hui. It was clearly her who couldn't stand steadily and fell down. "What does it have to do with us?" "Nonsense. It was clearly you guys who pushed Jingyi." Luo Hui also didn't show any weakness. Zhou Hao looked at the two girls from Class 7 and saw that their expressions were frivolous. They even had nail polish on their hands. Clearly, they were not the kind of obedient students. Their actions must have been directed at Gao Jingyi. Gao Jingyi was naturally cold and arrogant. She was not a lively and outgoing girl like Situ Jianying. Other than Luo Hui, the other girls that followed her were not very close. Furthermore, Gao Jingyi was so beautiful that not only the boys in her class, but also the boys in the other classes would be attracted to her. This would easily attract the jealousy of the other girls in the other classes. And with Gao Jingyi's stubborn personality, naturally, she would not apologize to these two girls, so the conflict naturally erupted. "I say, you guys are too indecent." At this time, Situ Jianying, who was behind Zhou Hao, opened her mouth and stared fiercely at the two girls from Class 7. "How dare you bully us, Class 5? Are you drunk or not?" Although Situ Jianying and Gao Jingyi did not get along well, they were still in their own class. The people from other classes bullied them. At the end of the day, she would be united against the public. "What do you mean by that?" The two girls said to Situ Jianying. "Who are you? Don't meddle in other people's business." "Humph, humph," Situ Jianying sneered. "People like you are still far away. Do you believe it? As long as I am willing, I can find someone to rape you today. If you don't believe me, you can try. Even if you hide at home, I have a way to get you out." Situ Jianying was not a good student. Even those from the real underworld in Xiang City were very respectful to her. How could she be afraid of these two girls? Moreover, she could really do it. Back then, she had tried to find Wen Shaoqiang to rape Wang Shijuan. It was only because of Zhou Hao that she gave up. Looking at Situ Jianying, Zhou Hao smiled bitterly and shook his head. This girl would only be as obedient as a kitten in front of him. In front of others, especially in front of those bad students, the ruffian air about her was still very strong. When he saw Situ Jianying's vicious expression, the two girls in Class 7 were a little frightened. After looking at each other, they said to Situ Jianying, "If you have the guts, wait and see." Then they turned around and left in a hurry. Tisk, pretending to be big sister, Situ Jianying curled her lips and said with a face full of disdain. Then you are big sister, right? Zhou Hao's deep voice came from the side. Situ Jianying hurriedly pulled her head back and looked at Zhou Hao, whose face was as dark as water. She was like a little wife who had been wronged and kept talking. Situ Jianying said, I am helping our class. The other classmates in the class also knew Situ Jianying's character. Even the teachers were not afraid, and the boys did not dare to be impudent to her. They did not expect her to be so obedient in front of Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao snorted at Situ Jianying and turned around to help Gao Jingyi up. At this moment, Wei Yingyang hurriedly ran over and sincerely said to Gao Jingyi, Jingyi, I'm sorry. It's our classmates' fault. I'll apologize to you on their behalf. No need. Those girls in your class are amazing. There's no need for you to apologize. Gao Jingyi did not say anything. Situ Jianying looked at Wei Yingyang and sneered. Zhou Hao glanced at Situ Jianying and Situ Jianying slightly curled her lips and retreated without saying anything. Wei Yingyang looked at Situ Jianying and Zhou Hao suspiciously and then said to Gao Jingyi, Jingyi, are your legs all right? Let me help you to the school's medical room to take a look. As he spoke, he extended his right hand towards Gao Jingyi. Gao Jingyi only gave him a light glance before turning her head away and ignoring him. She also did not grab his hand. When the classmates of Class 5 saw Wei Yingyang eat a soft nail, they all covered their mouths and laughed secretly. Zhou Hao squatted down beside Gao Jingyi and did not care whether Gao Jingyi was willing or not. He held her shoulder with one hand and reached under her knee with the other to carry her horizontally. Gao Jingyi was also shocked by Zhou Hao's sudden action and did not know how to react for a moment. When the surrounding classmates saw this scene, they were also very surprised. At the same time, they also secretly felt that Zhou Hao was very manly. Because Gao Jingyi normally did not give a false impression to the boys in her class, those boys who admired her did not dare to pursue her. Wei Yingyang even stared at Zhou Hao with wide eyes. And Gao Jingyi, who was held in his arms and did not resist at all. Luo Hui smiled and looked at Zhou Hao's back. She murmured, I didn't expect this would to be enlightened one day. I'll take her to the school clinic. Zhou Hao turned around and said to Wang Shijuan and Situ Jianying. Wang Shijuan nodded and Situ Jianying pouted and looked at Gao Jingyi who was in Zhou Hao's arms but did not say anything. Thus, under the gazes of the students, Zhou Hao carried Gao Jingyi to the school infirmary over there. It was only when Zhou Hao left the field that Gao Jingyi reacted. Her cheeks were red as she twisted her body and her legs kept shaking. You let go of me. Let go of me. I can walk by myself. Don't move. Your scream is twisted. How can you walk by yourself? All right, don't be willful. The school infirmary is almost here. Zhou Hao lowered his head and smiled at her. He looked at Zhou Hao's smiling face and felt Zhou Hao's broad and firm chest. Gao Jingyi's face became even redder. Let go of me. If I want to hug you, carry Situ Jianying and Wang Shijuan. Don't touch me. Hearing her jealous words, Zhou Hao smiled in his heart. But Gao Jingyi's intense struggle made others think that she had done something to her if they saw it. Therefore, Zhou Hao put on a stern face and said, All right, don't move. If you continue like this, I will ignore you and let you climb to the school's medical room by yourself. Seeing that Zhou Hao seemed to be really angry, Gao Jingyi also shrank her neck like Situ Jianying. She really did not dare to make a sound and did not dare to move anymore. She timidly looked at Zhou Hao and did not dare to hook his neck with her two hands. Placing it in front of her chest like this, it looked a little funny. On the surface, Zhou Hao looked angry, but in fact, he was laughing in his heart. It turned out that Gao Jingyi did not eat soft food when she was tough. It was no wonder that when she was born, Gao Holu's official position should not be low anymore. Many people were trying to curry favor with her. Naturally, they were trying their best to curry favor with her, the little princess. And Gao Holu and his wife were also very obedient to this single daughter. Therefore, not many people dared to force her. Therefore, this time, Zhou Hao stunned Gao Jingyi. Yining Middle School's medical room was on the first floor of the experimental building next to the sports field. Because most of the students were injured during sports, it was more convenient to be closer to the sports field. Zhou Hao carried Gao Jingyi to the medical room, but he found that it was empty inside, and the doctors on duty were not there. So Zhou Hao gently placed Gao Jingyi on the hospital bed in the school infirmary and then went out for a stroll. However, he still did not see the school doctor. How is it? Does your leg hurt? After returning to the school hospital room, Zhou Hao asked Gao Jingyi, who was sitting on the hospital bed. It doesn't hurt. She turned around and did not look at Zhou Hao, as if she was sulking with him. However, Zhou Hao saw her frown and slightly pale face. He knew that she was in pain. He shook his head, thinking that this girl was really stubborn. Zhou Hao did not say anything. He took a chair and sat by the bed. He picked up her twisted left foot and untied her shoelaces. What are you doing? Gao Jingyi saw Zhou Hao grab her left foot. Two ruddiness appeared on her pale face. She moved her left foot that was grabbed by Zhou Hao, but the moment she moved, the pain in her bones immediately came. She did not make a sound, but just tightly pursed her lips. Don't move. You are already injured, but you are still not safe. Zhou Hao once again used a hard move and said to Gao Jingyi with a face full of fear. But when he saw Gao Jingyi pursing her lips and enduring the pain, he could not help but feel his heart move. He quickly suppressed the ripples in his heart and carefully took off the shoes on Gao Jingyi's left foot. He also gently took off the white socks, and Gao Jingyi's jade-like golden lotus foot was revealed. This slender jade foot did not have a trace of sweat smell, and it was very white. Its 5 toes were as round and cute as pearls. Zhou Hao did not have a fetish for feet, but when he saw Gao Jingyi's jade foot, his heart could not help but tremble. Furthermore, the left ankle of her left foot was swollen, making one's heart ache when looking at it. Gao Jingyi, on the other hand, had already been covered up by a strong sense of shyness, so she didn't feel much pain. She liked to read books very much, although she did not read many books. It could be said that she read a lot, especially some ancient literature. That was why she knew that in ancient times, only the closest family and husband could read a daughter's book. Although it was now a modern civilization, her feet were still in Zhou Hao's hands. And seeing Zhou Hao's dazed look, it made Gao Jingyi very shy. At the same time, she also felt a sense of joy. At least there was one place where she could attract Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao also noticed that it was not very polite to look at people's feet like this. He coughed lightly and gently asked Gao Jingyi, "Does it hurt?" Gao Jingyi felt light when she heard Zhou Hao's gentle voice. Her voice was like a mosquito answering softly.
Yes.
Zhou Hao looked behind him. Why hasn't the school doctor come back yet? Wait a minute. I'll look for some iron medicine. After saying that, he started looking in the school infirmary. There were a lot of medicine in the school's medical room. There were medicine for colds, diarrhea, and some red medicine and yellow medicine for external injuries. Zhou Hao quickly found a bottle of Yunnan Baiyao powders, but it was not the spray type that he had seen in his previous life. He turned around and sat on the chair beside the bed. He said to Gao Jingyi, "Let me help you wipe some Yunnan Baiyao powders."
Yes.
This time, Zhou Hao did not need to do anything. Gao Jingyi already took the initiative to put her left foot on his knee. Seeing this jade-like lotus foot again, Zhou Hao's heart was once again filled with ripples. He poured some Yunnan Baiyao powders into his right palm and instantly felt a chill. Looking at Gao Jingyi again, she also turned her face away and did not look at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao exhaled and placed his right palm on her red and swollen ankle and gently caressed it. Her skin was very smooth and thin, and it was very comfortable to touch. When Zhou Hao helped her to wipe the Yunnan Baiyao powder, he could also hear her breathing become rapid, and there was even a layer of shallow red on her neck. As he helped Gao Jingyi apply the medicine, Zhou Hao's gaze also followed her feet and looked up. Because it was a physical education class, so Gao Jingyi changed into a pair of sports shorts, and her legs below the knee were also exposed in front of Zhou Hao's eyes. Gao Jingyi's legs were very thin, and the lines were very beautiful. Gao Jingyi was still young now, but she was already 1.6 meters tall. Zhou Hao thought that in a few years, when Gao Jingyi fully matured, she would be 1.7 meters tall, and her legs would be even longer. Zhou Hao imagined in his mind, if Gao Jingyi's beautiful legs were covered with stockings, what kind of temptation would it be for a man? As he thought about it, Zhou Hao's hand unconsciously left Gao Jingyi's ankle and touched her slender and beautiful legs in harmony. When he saw Gao Jingyi's shy and anxious look, Zhou Hao was overjoyed in his heart. But she was right. The school doctor would be back at any time. Therefore, Zhou Hao did not dare to tease her anymore. He even used a genuine aura on his palm to help her remove the swelling and blood clots on her ankle. With the help of Zhou Hao's genuine aura, Gao Jingyi only felt that the pain on her ankle was very warm and comfortable. That pain also quickly disappeared. Zhou Hao was thinking that if he sold the holy medicine for external injuries to Guangzhou Military Region Black Jade Ointment, Gao Jingyi's legs would recover even faster. However, the Black Jade Ointment was only available to the military, and there was still a period of time before it could be used by the people. How are things now? Are you feeling better? Zhou Hao smiled at Gao Jingyi. Gao Jingyi nodded. When she remembered what Zhou Hao had done to her, her cheeks blushed again. Zhou Hao felt a sense of accomplishment when he saw this girl, who was usually cold and aloof, blush shyly like a fairy from the heavens that had fallen into the mortal world. At this moment, a bell rang outside. Zhou Hao said, class dismissed. However, they clearly saw the students who were playing at the sports field rushing towards the school building. They then realized that it wasn't the end of the class ringing, but rather the sound of the class ringing. The two of them had been immersed in that ambiguous action just now, so they did not even hear the bell ringing for the end of the class. Since it's time for class, I'll go back in my nightmare, Zhou Hao said to Gao Jingyi. Seeing her nod, he gently put socks and shoes on her. Then he asked, "Can I go?" Gao Jingyi lowered her head and shook her head with a red face. In fact, with the help of the Yunnan Baiyao powder and Zhou Hao's genuine aura, her feet were fine and she could walk on her own. Zhou Hao smiled, then stretched out his hand and held her in his arms again. This time, Gao Jingyi did not pull her hands in front of her chest like before. Instead, she naturally hooked them around Zhou Hao's neck. In her heart, she was thinking that she was only doing this to maintain her balance. She had no other intentions. Wei Yingyang watched helplessly as Zhou Hao carried Gao Jingyi away. His face was filled with disbelief. After following his father, Wei Yuanjun, to the Yining Middle School, he had been amazed by Gao Jingyi. Furthermore, Wei Yuanjun had told him that Gao Jingyi was the only daughter of the current mayor of Xiang City, Gao Holu. Therefore, Wei Yuanjun strongly supported Wei Yingyang to pursue Gao Jingyi. However, he was handsome and good at basketball. Wei Yingyang, who had always been successful with girls, had encountered an unprecedented setback with Gao Jingyi. Not to mention inviting Gao Jingyi out to eat and watch the show. Even when talking to her, Gao Jingyi's expression towards Wei Yingyang was also like an iceberg that could not be broken. Originally, Gao Jingyi had a cold and indifferent expression towards every boy and even girl, but it also made Wei Yingyang's self-esteem feel better. But now, Gao Jingyi was actually willing to be picked up by Zhou Hao. She did not have the slightest intention of objecting. This solid ice mountain was actually split open by Zhou Hao, making Wei Yingyang shocked and jealous. Feeling depressed, Wei Yingyang did not continue the physical education class. He followed his best friends to the roof of the teaching building. "Brother Yang, come. I stole this double happiness from my dad. Try it." A boy in the same class as Wei Yingyang handed him a cigarette with both hands. "Okay," Wei Yingyang answered and took it over to put it in his mouth. The boy also quickly lit it up with a lighter. Wei Yingyang took a deep breath. Nicholas's tempting smell penetrated his heart and lungs. He exhaled a long breath of white smoke. His face was full of enjoyment. Although Yining Middle School was the best school in Xiang City, there were still many students who came from wealthy families and had poor grades. They had to pay the school admission fee to study here. Therefore, in the Yining Middle School, there were a lot of good students and bad students. And many boys liked to come to the rooftop of the teaching building to smoke. Over time, when some teachers found out, they would list this place as a black dot. They often came to patrol and caught quite a number of people. Thus, gradually, no one dared to come here to smoke. But Wei Yingyang and the others were not afraid. Because Wei Yingyang was the principal's son, even those teachers who came to patrol would not dare to catch him smoking when they saw him. That was because Wei Yingyang was the principal's son, and even those teachers who came here to patrol did not dare to catch him smoking. Because of this, these few boys were willing to follow Wei Yingyang. If he violated the school rules, the teachers would not arrest him. On the contrary, if they offended Wei Yingyang, their days in school would be very difficult. At this time, the boy who squatted beside Wei Yingyang and leaned against the wall to smoke said, "Speaking of which, Gao Jingyi is actually willing to be carried by Zhou Hao. I really don't understand." Just as he finished speaking, he saw another boy glare at him fiercely. He also saw that Wei Yingyang's expression also became ugly. He then understood and hurriedly said, "It's also that Gao Jingyi doesn't know what's good for her. Our brother Yang is so handsome, and he's the young master of the principal. What does that Zhou Hao count as?" Wei Yingyang said with a cigarette in his mouth that Zhou Hao only came to school last Friday. He didn't even participate in the school military training. Moreover, he didn't come in after passing the official middle school exams. It was Yining Middle School who provided him with an entrance exam alone and allowed him to enter. My dad said that Zhou Hao's family isn't an ordinary person. Brother Yang, according to what I said, if Gao Jingyi doesn't want it, then so be it. A boy on the other side said, "Look, she's cold to everyone. I'm afraid she's not cold to sex. Besides, even if she really becomes Brother Yang's girlfriend, Brother Yang, are you willing to face ice all day long?" Hearing his words, the other boys also deeply agreed. In their view, although Gao Jingyi was very beautiful, her temperament was really a bit cold. A normal look was as if she wanted to keep people away from her. Of course, they did not know that Gao Jingyi was the mayor's daughter. With this identity, even if Gao Jingyi was very ugly, there was probably no lack of men chasing after her. The boy continued, Brother Yang. Other than Gao Jingyi, there are actually many other pretty girls in Class 5. Other things aside, just Wang Shijuan and Situ Jianying. That Wang Shijuan is not only beautiful but also soft and weak. Every man would want to hug her and cherish her when they saw her. There was also that Situ Jianying. TSK. Speak the truth. I've seen all the girls in the school, but not a single one of them has a chest as big as hers. Brother Yang, if you can hug her every night and sleep, it's worth it to have a short life of 10 years. Wei Yingyang also nodded secretly when he heard this. Although Wang Shijuan's appearance was slightly inferior to Gao Jingyi's, the kind of pitiful aura on her body was really very lethal to men, especially her pair of big eyes that flickered and flickered. It was simply enough to kill people. There was also Situ Jianying. That kind of mature and full figure did not seem like something that a 16 or 17-year-old girl could possess. Every time Wei Yingyang saw her chest rise up high, he would feel excited in his heart. Moreover, others did not know, but he knew that Situ Jianying was the daughter of the Public Security Bureau's director. Her family background was not much worse than Gao Jingyi's. There are 3 campus belle girls in Class 5. No wonder everyone says that it is Hong Nation. The boy said, Brother Yang, why don't we apply with your dad and transfer to Class 5 as well? Wei Yingyang pursed his lips. Pretending to be mature, he said, transferring classes isn't easy. Do you think my dad can do whatever he wants just because he's the principal? Although he said so, Wei Yingyang was actually quite moved by this suggestion. At this time, the bell of the class rang. A boy said to Wei Yingyang, Brother Yang, this is a math class. We don't dare to skip that old virgin's class, so we'll go back first. Do you want to come with us? Wei Yingyang waved his hand. No, I want to stay here for a while. You guys can go back first. The other boys nodded and left one after another. The mathematics teacher in their class was a middle-aged woman in her 40s. She had a bad temper. Wei Yingyang was the principal's son. She did not dare to do anything to him, but she was not polite to other boys. Just like that, Wei Yingyang was the only one left on the spacious rooftop. He climbed to the top of the small house at the staircase and rested his arms on his back with a cigarette in his mouth. He looked at the blue sky and white clouds in the distance and had a different feeling. In his mind, he thought of Gao Jingyi, Wang Shijuan, and Situ Jianying. Gao Jingyi was the mayor's only daughter. If he got into a relationship with her, then he would not have to worry for the rest of his life. He could live up to his name and work hard for 20 years less. Even his father could advance a step further. Situ Jianying was also the daughter of the mayor's Public Security Bureau. The help she could provide was not small either. Moreover, with her devilish figure that matured much earlier than her peers, it was a temptation that every man could not resist. As for Wang Shijuan, Wei Yingyang did not know that her mother was the second largest shareholder of the Tongguang Food and Company, Ltd., which had become a celebrity company in Xiang City in the past year. So he only thought that Wang Shijuan was an ordinary girl. But even so, Wang Shijuan's aura, which could arouse the desire of men to protect her, was very charming. If I can pluck all 3 flowers, then I will die without regrets, Wei Yingyang said in his heart. He thought that if that man could have these 3 women at the same time, he could really say, what else can I ask for? While he was thinking, Wei Yingyang suddenly heard a bang sound. The iron door of the small house at the staircase was opened. Wei Yingyang originally thought that a teacher was here to patrol, so he did not pay much attention to it and continued to lie on the roof. Tell me, what did you do after you carried Gao Jingyi to the school infirmary? Why did Gao Jingyi's face turn red during the entire class? Wei Yingyang, who was lying on the roof, felt his heart skip a beat when he heard the crisp female voice. He felt that the voice was very familiar. He quietly turned around and leaned on the roof. He poked his head out slightly and saw a man and a woman standing by the wall of the small house. The girl was Situ Jianying, and the boy was Zhou Hao. Wei Yingyang did not say anything. He just looked at them suspiciously, wanting to hear what they were saying. He heard Zhou Hao say to Situ Jianying, I didn't do anything. Besides, isn't there a school doctor in the school medical room? What can I do? He was lying with his eyes wide open. Anyway, Gao Jingyi would not tell anyone what happened in the school's medical room, so Situ Jianying would not have thought that the school doctor had not come back in the school's medical room. Then why is her face red throughout the entire class, like a bride who is going to get married? Situ Jianying asked. Maybe it is painful. Zhou Hao explained. You also know that her leg was sprained. The school doctor just said that her injury was not light, so it's normal for her to be in pain. After hearing Zhou Hao's explanation, Situ Jianying's expression eased a little. In any case, I don't care. If you have anything with other women, I can't turn a blind eye to it. I just won't allow you to be with this Gao Jingyi. Zhou Hao snorted. When did you become so bold as to lock up my matters? Watch me teach you a lesson. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Zhou Hao press Situ Jianying against the wall. He held her left leg with one hand and let her hook it around his waist. Master, this servant will not dare anymore. Please spare this servant. Situ Jianying immediately entered her role and deliberately revealed a pitiful expression. Wei Yang, who was hiding on the roof and peeking, could not figure out what they were playing at. But what happened next stunned him. Zhou Hao grabbed Situ Jianying's lips and savored it. Situ Jianying snorted and seemed to be enjoying it very much. Wei Yang watched Zhou Hao and Situ Jianying closely kissing each other on the wall. He was lying on the roof and peeking. He kept rubbing his eyes to make sure that his eyes were not playing tricks on him. However, even when he rubbed his eyes until they hurt, the truth still could not be changed. He had already suspected Situ Jianying when he saw Situ Jianying listen to Zhou Hao during the physical education class. Now that he saw the intense kiss between the two of them, the relationship between the two was obvious. Furthermore, after hearing what Situ Jianying said just now, she actually did not care that Zhou Hao had other women by his side. This was really inconceivable to Wei Yang, because he had heard some people who knew Situ Jianying say that when Situ Jianying was in secondary school, she was an out-and-out big sister. All the bad students of number 2 senior high school didn't dare to disobey her. It was this kind of person who could actually tolerate his own man having another woman. Seeing Zhou Hao's hands constantly touching Situ Jianying's voluptuous body, and even reaching under her clothes to wreak havoc inside, Wei Yang fiercely swallowed his saliva. In his heart, he hated Zhou Hao even more. Although Situ Jianying was not even a friend of his, Wei Yang had been eyeing her for a long time. So when he saw the two of them being intimate, Wei Yang felt as if he had discovered that his wife was having an affair with another man. He was so angry that his scalp went numb. At this time, the two people who had been kissing for a long time reluctantly separated. Situ Jianying panted and said to Zhou Hao, "All right, we still have class. I will go to your place tonight. You can do whatever you want." "All right." Zhou Hao hooked Situ Jianying's chin and smiled. "When the time comes, let's see how I will deal with you." Situ Jianying cast a charming glance at him. She tidied up her messy hair and clothes, then turned around and walked down the stairs. Wei Yang, who was on the roof, also saw Situ Jianying's charming face. He took a look. Although he wasn't looking at himself, he also took a deep breath. His body had also reacted, and his resentment towards Zhou Hao had become even more intense. Zhou Hao followed Situ Jianying down the stairs, but his face revealed a cold smile. He then closed the iron door of the small house and locked it from the inside. Then, he left with Situ Jianying. Wei Yang's mind was originally filled with Situ Jianying's charming appearance, but when he suddenly heard the sound of the iron lock, his heart tightened. He quickly jumped down from the roof and realized that the iron door had been locked. He was also trapped in the rooftop and could not go down. He only thought that the iron door was conveniently closed when Zhou Hao left, and he also cursed Zhou Hao hatefully. At the same time, in the principal's office of the office building, Wei Yuanjun was reading documents with his head lowered. Someone knocked on the door. Wei Yuanjun said, "Please come in." He saw a person push open the door and enter. The sunlight from outside also sprinkled in and reflected on her body. It was as if she was covered with a layer of gold and was exceptionally charming. This person was the form teacher of grade 15 class and was also their English teacher, Li Ruolin. "Principal, are you looking for me for something?" Li Ruolin walked to Wei Yuanjun's desk and politely said. Wei Yuanjun looked happy when he saw Li Ruolin, and his eyes lit up. Li Ruolin looked at Wei Yuanjun. Although his eyes were not as perverted and evil as those of a hooligan, Li Ruolin still felt uncomfortable when Wei Yuanjun looked at her like that. It was as if she was being stared at by a wild beast. Little Li, Wei Yuanjun opened his mouth and leaned back on the chair. He said slowly, "You should know that this year's evaluation for the title of an instructor has already started. There are also comments from the Bureau of Education in the city. The 3 most outstanding instructors in this year's evaluation can get a room quota for each of them." Li Ruolin felt a little puzzled. She had heard about this from her colleagues in the English science team. The school's evaluation of titles was held every year, and it was not a big deal. Usually, it would be passed. It was just that this year, the 3 most outstanding people in the Bureau of Education were able to obtain the housing quota, which surprised Li Ruolin. However, she also knew about these things. Usually, only those who had decades of experience could get a room, or those who had backers. She did not need a room, so she did not care about it. Seeing that Li Ruolin's expression did not change much, Wei Yuanjun narrowed his eyes and said, "Xiao Li, although you have not been teaching for a long time, You have achieved very good work results. This, everyone has seen it with their own eyes. Li Ruolin was also very happy to be praised by the principal. She quickly smiled and said, "Thank you, principal." "Haha, I am also just stating facts." Wei Yuanjun smiled and said, "By the way, for this job evaluation, I plan to recommend you to be an outstanding teacher in our school. Furthermore, Director Yi of the Education Bureau is about to retire. I want you to take over his class." This time Li Ruolin was even more surprised and quickly said, "Principal, this won't do. I don't have any administrative experience, and I have many teachers who are better than me. I can't be the director of the Education Bureau. You've been the form teacher for 3 years and managed dozens of students. Isn't this your administrative experience?" Wei Yuanjun said, "Furthermore, I believe in my own judgment. If I say you can do it, then you can." 5. Speaking up to this point, Wei Yuanjun stood up from his chair and walked around the desk to Li Ruolin's side. He asked with concern, "Shaoli, you should have a boyfriend. When do you plan to get married?" Li Ruolin thought of Zhou Hao and blushed. "We don't have such a plan." She naturally would not tell Wei Yuanjun that her boyfriend was her student. Wei Yuanjun saw Li Ruolin's charming look and could not help swallowing his saliva. He continued to smile and said, "Although you don't have this plan now, you will still get married, right? Since you want to get married, you naturally need a house. So, Shaoli, if you're able to get a house this time, then you will have nothing to worry about." Li Ruolin thought that with Zhou Hao's ability, as long as she was willing, Zhou Hao could buy her 10 or 8 villas immediately. So she did not need to compete for a house quota. It would be better to give it to other teachers who needed it. Just as she was about to ask Wei Yuanjun to give the quota to those who needed it, Li Ruolin saw Wei Yuanjun coming over to her. She quickly hid behind him, and at the same time, she frowned and reminded him, "Principal." Wei Yuanjun laughed and said, "Shaoli, I was attracted to you as soon as I came to this school. None of the female teachers in the school can compare to you. Shaoli, I think very highly of you, as long as you're willing to cooperate with my work. Hee hee. Then not only will I make you an excellent teacher in our school, I will give you a house, and you will also be the director of the Administration and Education Bureau. If that's the case, your salary will also be increased by half." Li Ruolin's expression changed drastically. She now understood that Wei Yuanjun was coveting her beauty and wanted to get her through the hidden rules. However, she did not expect that Wei Yuanjun, who was normally a gentleman, would actually be an evil ghost in the face of sanctification. Looking at his ugly face in front of her, not to mention Zhou Hao, even if he was still single, he would never take a fancy to her. "Principal, I'll pretend I never said those words. I also hope that you don't cross the bottom line of morality." Li Ruolin said to Wei Yuanjun seriously, "Otherwise, don't blame me for reporting you to the Municipal Disciplinary Committee." After saying that, she did not wait for Wei Yuanjun to do anything and quickly left the principal's office. Hearing the sound of the door closing, Wei Yuanjun came back to his senses. His face also turned red and green. He did not expect Li Ruolin to be so ungrateful, because in the previous school, he had also tried to use the same method to violate those female teachers. It could be said that he had tried it many times and had tasted the sweetness of it. It was no wonder that the fate of the teachers, including the key to being promoted, was largely in the hands of the principal. Just like those teachers who did not dare to make things difficult for Wei Yang, if he offended the principal, his life would be very difficult. Wei Yuanjun shook his hand. "Little b****, I don't believe you can escape from my 5-finger mountain." At that moment, the office door was pushed open again. Wei Yuanjun thought that Li Ruolin had finally thought of a prodigal son turning back, but he saw that the person who came in was not Li Ruolin, but his own son, Wei Yang. Retracting the anger on his face, Wei Yuanjun saw that his son's face was full of anger, so he asked, "Yang, what's wrong?" Wei Yang said angrily, "I was trapped on the rooftop of the teaching building just now. For an entire hour, a teacher went there to patrol before I escaped. Just now, he was locked on the rooftop by Zhou Hao. Originally, if he shouted for help, he would be able to escape immediately, but this way, the whole school would know. He thought he was extraordinary, so of course, he could not lose face. So he waited on the rooftop and knew where a teacher went to patrol. That was why he was able to escape from being trapped. What's going on? Why are you hiding on that roof?" Wei Yuanjun asked in confusion. Wei Yingyang told Wei Yuanjun that he saw Zhou Hao and Situ Jianying getting intimate on the rooftop. Zhou Hao closed the iron door when he left. "What? That Zhou Hao and Director Situ's daughter are boyfriend and girlfriend?" Wei Yuanjun asked in surprise. He had encouraged Wei Yingyang to go after Gao Jingyi or Situ Jianying. As long as one of them was in love with her, It would be a great help to Wei Yuanjuan's career. It should be like this. Wei Yingyang was very depressed. Not only Situ Jianying, I think even Gao Jingyi likes that Zhou Hao. What? Wei Yuanjun was shocked again. Wei Yuanjun was stunned when he heard Wei Yingyang say Gao Jingyi and Situ Jianying liked Zhou Hao. Although he also thought that with Zhou Hao's qualifications, there would definitely be many girls who liked him. Gao Jingyi and Situ Jianying were not the children of ordinary families. Wei Yuanjun had hoped that his son would be able to pursue one of them to help him in his career, but now it had been ruined by Zhou Hao. Wei Yingyang said, "Dad, quickly investigate that Zhou Hao's background." Situ Jianying actually said that she doesn't mind that he has other women. The two of them even play that old master and maidservant game. It really pisses me off. When he thought about Zhou Hao and Situ Jianying playing that kind of alluring role-playing game, Wei Yingyang felt as if he had eaten a big green fly. It was as if his wife had gone out to steal people. I have seen his file. Wei Yuanjun touched his chin. His family seems to be running a food and beverage company. The Mrs. Zhou's restaurant and romantic cake shop at the entrance of our school are the branches of their company. It doesn't matter. I'll go and investigate. He was able to get the school to arrange an entrance exam for him alone, and he was able to take such a long leave. He must have bribed the former principal. If his family doesn't have any other connections, then I'll find an excuse to withdraw his degree. He narrowed his eyes and sneered. I didn't want to stop after I was assigned from Guangzhou to this place. I want to be the principal of a middle school. This time, it was not just about Wei Yingyang's relationship, but also about his career, so Wei Yuanjun paid a lot of attention to it. After school at noon, Wei Yingyang invited two of his friends to a nearby restaurant for lunch. These two friends weren't students of Yining Middle School. They were some young men in society. To put it bluntly, they were just hoodlums who did not do proper work. Wei Yingyang had made friends with them after coming to Xiang City. He also knew that some things could only be done by these delinquents. Although the dishes in the restaurant they were in tasted good, the price was expensive, so there were fewer customers. There were only a few tables, and students with lower spending ability would not come here. Wei Yingyang ordered a few dishes and asked the waiter to bring a few bottles of beer. A man with Chen Haonan's hairstyle sitting opposite him, who had a few bottles of beer, smiled at him. I say, young Master Wei, why are you treating us to dinner so easily today? Sigh, I was a little depressed today, so I just wanted to drink with you guys. Wei Yingyang said. Another short-haired punk laughed and said, young Master Wei, what's there to be depressed about? Your father is the principal of the school, and you can do whatever you want in school. And with your condition, there are many girls throwing themselves at you. What else do you have to be depressed about? Wei Yingyang waved his hand and said, don't mention it. A few days ago, there was a guy who stole the girls that I took a fancy to. Yo, who has the guts to even touch the girl that our young Master Wei took a fancy to? The long-haired gangster said in surprise. Young Master Wei, tell us, our brothers will help you kill that be *starred. Oh right, I was just about to ask. Do you guys know someone called Zhou Hao? Wei Yingyang asked. Zhou Hao? The two of them looked at each other. The short-haired thug said, it sounds familiar. Yes, I'm not afraid. We brothers will help you investigate. Huh, chicken, what are you looking at? He suddenly realized that his companion beside him was looking in that direction with interest, and the long-haired hooligan called Shanji said to Wei Yingyang, young Master Wei, do you think those two students over there are from your school? They are so intimate, just like a couple. Shanji pointed at a table in the distance and smiled at Wei Yingyang. Wei Yingyang looked in the direction he pointed and saw two men and women in Yining Middle School uniforms eating at that table. They saw the man and woman sitting side by side, looking very intimate. The girl also picked up a spoon of soup, blew it to her mouth, and then fed it to the man. Her face was also very warm and happy. Wei Yingyang was stunned when he saw this, because he recognized that the couple was Zhou Hao and Wang Shijuan. Judging from their intimate actions, it was obvious that they were no longer ordinary classmates, but typical lovers. This made Wei Yingyang very shocked, because from what he saw today, Gao Jingyi and Situ Jianying both liked Zhou Hao, and now there was also Wang Shijuan. And according to what he knew, Wang Shijuan and Situ Jianying were very close friends. He took a deep breath and muttered to himself, this Zhou Hao is too capable. The two gangsters beside him saw Wei Yingyang's expression and smelled it. Young Master Wei, do you know them? A cold look flashed across Wei Yingyang's eyes, and he said to the two punks, Shanji, do me a favor. After school in the afternoon, Li Rulin went to the unit where Zhou Hao temporarily settled down. She helped him clean up the house and made dinner for him. Zhou Hao, on the other hand, was in the living room outside, talking on the phone with Song Jiahao in Hong Kong. He knew about the stock market fluctuations between the two countries during this period of time. Li Rulin walked out of the kitchen with the food she had prepared and said to Zhou Hao, who was sitting on the sofa and talking on the phone, "All right, it's time to eat. Come and help." 0. Zhou Hao said goodbye to Song Jiahao on the other side of the phone and hung up. He then went to the kitchen to help Li Rulin take out the bowls and chopsticks. At the same time, he smiled and said, "Sister Lan, you are the model of a good wife and a good mother. Being able to be with you is a blessing that I built up in my previous life. It is good that you know." Li Rulin wrinkled her nose at Zhou Hao. "Then why are you so fickle?" Once this was mentioned, Zhou Hao was at his wit's end. He scratched his head and giggled as he muddled over. Li Rulin only rolled her eyes at Zhou Hao. She was as considerate as a wife, as she helped him prepare rice and soup. In the dining room, Li Rulin told Zhou Hao about what happened with Wei Yuanjun at school today. "What? That old pervert dared to set his eyes on you?" When Zhou Hao heard this, he became furious. He is tired of living. Li Rulin knew that Zhou Hao was so angry because of her. She knew that he was nervous about her. She felt sweet in her heart. At the same time, she said to Zhou Hao, "He wanted to use the housing quota and the director of the administration and education department to move me, but I did not agree. I really didn't expect Wei Yuanjun to be so serious during meetings. He also cared about the teachers of our various research groups, but he turned out to be a hypocritical hypocrite. You want to take advantage of me, Sister Lan, just because of those things?" Zhou Hao sneered and said, "I can build 10 or 8 houses of those government houses at any time. Why would I care about those?" Li Rulin rolled her eyes at him. "Do you mean I'm with you because I want your money?" Zhou Hao quickly shook his head and explained, No, of course not. Sister Lan and I are in love." Li Rulin lightly snorted at him. "If not for you using force back then, how would I have taken a liking to a brat like you?" Humph. Zhou Hao narrowed his eyes and smiled. "Sister Lan," he said, "you didn't say that yesterday. Who was the one who kept calling me good brother in bed last night?" "Well, let me think about who it was." Li Rulin blushed when she heard Zhou Hao's words. She quickly picked up a piece of pork spine and stuffed it into Zhou Hao's mouth. "Put it in your mouth. I told you to say it." Zhou Hao was already thinking about how to deal with that hypocrite, Wei Yuanjun. Back then, Zhou Hao had never been afraid of Liang Fengshan, who was the young master of the province. How could Wei Yuanjun, a mere principal, be afraid of him? By the way, the biology teacher in our class said that you did not listen to the class when you were writing and painting in class. Tell me, what's going on? Li Rulin asked Zhou Hao. Although Zhou Hao was her man, he was also her student. The biology teacher found her and complained to her, so Li Rulin naturally had to scold Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao picked up a piece of chicken and placed it in Li Rulin's bowl. "I'm writing a script. I'll let the people from the Asia Television Limited film it in a while." "A script?" Li Rulin asked curiously. "What script and topic is it?" Zhou Hao smiled faintly. "The name of this script is called The Condition of the Witch. It is a story about a high school teacher dating a boy in his class." When Li Rulin heard this, she thought that he was talking about her relationship with him. She said in annoyance, "Stop messing around. Tell me quickly, what script are you writing?" "I didn't lie to you. If you don't believe me, I will show you." After saying that, Zhou Hao went to his room and took out a pin book and handed it to her. Li Rulin flipped through it and found that the content was indeed a story of a high school teacher and student relationship. She immediately thought of the purpose of Zhou Hao writing this script. Her face was flushed red and she said to him worriedly, "After this drama is filmed, will it leak out our matter? It's fine. I've changed the name and school name. No one will think of us." Zhou Hao sat beside Li Rulin and gently hugged her. He whispered softly into her ear, "Sister Lan, I specially wrote this script for you." When Li Rulin saw Zhou Hao write "Love me, don't go for another woman," although Li Rulin did not blame Zhou Hao, she also wanted Zhou Hao to do something romantic for her. Now that Zhou Hao quietly wrote such a script for her, Li Rulin was moved and her love for Zhou Hao deepened. After flipping through the last part, Li Rulin saw that the female lead in The Condition of Witches was pregnant with the male lead's child. Her heart palpitated, and she guessed that Zhou Hao wanted to have a child with her. The Witch's Condition was actually a Japanese drama that Zhou Hao had watched in his previous life. It described a high school female teacher who had fallen in love with her student and even had this student's child. The two of them had gone through many twists and turns before finally being able to spend time together. This television drama was released in Japan in 1999. Zhou Hao watched this Japanese drama only after he started working. At that time, he was very touched by the love story of the male and female leads in the TV series. At the same time, he remembered that he had a crush on Li Rulin, who was in middle school. He fantasized that he could also be like the male and female lead in the movie and know Li Ruolin's love. In his previous life, Zhou Hao could not fall in love with Li Ruolin. In this life, Zhou Hao had already obtained Li Ruolin's body and mind, making up for the regrets of his previous life. The original The Condition of the Witch only had 11 episodes. Zhou Hao, on the basis of his own understanding of it and the comments of the audience who liked The Condition of the Witch in his previous life, wrote the original plot more well and increased it to 20 episodes. Of course, the classic plot was, Zhou Hao would not miss out a single one. As Witch's Condition was a story about the relationship between a teacher and a student, it had caused a huge stir when it was released in Japan and broadcasted in Taiwan. It had created a huge controversy about the unethical love. This also caused the popularity of Witch's Condition to rise even more, and it became the TV series with the highest viewership ratings in Japan. If there was such a huge controversy in Japan, which was a very open society, then it would be even more controversial in China. Therefore, Zhou Hao planned to broadcast it in Hong Kong and Taiwan after The Witch's Condition was filmed. If the domestic broadcast conditions were ripe, it would be broadcasted to the entire country. The Witch's Condition not only relied on the plot to attract people, but also the theme song First Love, sung by Yu Duotian, also played a great role. Zhou Hao originally wanted to use this classic song as well, but if he wanted to use it as the theme song of The Witch's Condition, he would have to change it to a Mandarin song. Zhou Hao was helpless in this regard. Therefore, Zhou Hao planned to use another classic song to replace At Least You. This song was originally released by Lin Ilian in 2000 years. The style of the song carried a hint of melancholy, as well as that kind of persistence towards love. It was very compatible with the style of Witch Condition. As for the singer, Zhou Hao did not want to find anyone else. He would ask Lin Ilian to perform it. Only Lin Ilian's gentle voice could sing out the meaning behind it. Li Ruolin was still holding the script of The Condition of Witches written by Zhou Hao. She leaned on Zhou Hao's shoulder and watched quietly, her face full of happiness. To her, this script was a love letter written by Zhou Hao, especially when it was written by Zhou Hao himself. Every word and every note seemed to contain feelings for Li Ruolin. When will this movie be broadcast? Li Ruolin asked Zhou Hao. Asia Television Limited is now full of slots. I think it will only be released at the beginning of next year. Zhou Hao said. Indeed, Asia Television Limited was busy filming the TV series that Zhou Hao had arranged for them. For example, Xian Jiwei and Qin Shi-san were in charge of I Have a Date with Zombies, Chai Jiping and Kai Yushuan were in charge of Meteor Garden, and Li Zhaoxi was preparing Traversing Four Seas. Furthermore, the best production team of the Asia Television Limited had already gone to the overseas China region to start producing the story of Finding a Home. At the same time, Wang Zhonglei and his brother had already agreed on the broadcasting rights for the first Pearl Return Gige that was almost completed in Hong Kong on behalf of the North Pole Star. It was estimated that it would be broadcast at the end of the year. Therefore, Zhou Hao's Witch's Condition would only be broadcast at the beginning of next year at the fastest possible time. Li Ruolin did not care too much about it. Anyway, she had already felt Zhou Hao's intentions. Sister Lan, I have an appointment with someone. I will go out now. You can stay here tonight. I will be back soon. Okay, you can go. I will wait for you to come back. Li Ruolin's eyes were still on the script of The Witch's Condition. Zhou Hao kissed her on the forehead before getting up and leaving the room. The person he met was Wenxiangdong, but he did not meet in Emotion City of Wenxiangdong. Instead, he met in a big stall that had been opened for more than 10 years. Because the location of this stall was relatively remote, not many people knew about it. At this time, Zhou Hao was the only guest. When Wenxiangdong arrived, Zhou Hao was sitting there drinking alone. The two people who came with Wenxiangdong were his two subordinates. Xiao Hao, you really know how to pick a place. The chili, salt, and small ink fish here are the best. Wenxiangdong smiled and sat down. His two subordinates sat at another table. Zhou Hao poured a glass of beer for Wenxiangdong. The new world you just opened is not bad. My classmate from last week went there. Business is good. It's just a friend giving out tips. Wenxiangdong smiled and said, Oh, right. Where's Wen Xiaoqiang? Did you really send him to the army to join the army? Wenxiangdong nodded. He's too wild. It's good to go out and exercise. Haha, you don't know. When he first came to the army, he couldn't stand the life in the army. He called me and asked me to bring him back. But now, he's already used to it. And he even told me that there was a female soldier in the army. That brat, his personality never changes no matter where he goes. Although he was cursing Wen Xiaoqiang, there was a clear pride on his face. He said to Zhou Hao, By the way, Xiao Hao, I heard that you have bought over the Asia Television Limited in Hong Kong. Amazing. I have said it before. You're definitely not from the pond. Zhou Hao smiled. You know about the matter of me purchasing the Asia Television Limited? Hee hee, I have some connections with the E-Star in Hong Kong. I have also seen their leader, Inai Yongxiao. When Xiangdong's business was not only limited to Xiang City, there were also some businesses in Shenzhen, so it was easy for him to deal with the gangs in Hong Kong. He and Inai Yongxiao were both friends of Zhou Hao, so they had more contact and cooperation. Xiao Hao, you asked me out. Is there something you want me to help you with? Just tell me. Uncle Wen definitely won't refuse. He had been rolling around for many years and was well-versed in the ways of the world. Naturally, he knew that Zhou Hao wouldn't ask him out for no reason. Zhou Hao smiled and said, Uncle Wen, you really? Can't I ask you out to drink and chat with me? After a pause, he said again, but this time, I really have something to ask you for help. When Xiangdong looked at Zhou Hao with a smile, as if he was saying, see, I knew you. It is this kind of person. Zhou Hao ignored his gaze and said, you should have heard of Uncle Wen. Our school has a new principal called Wei Yuanjun. Can you help me find out about this person? When Xiangdong smiled and asked, what? Xiao Hao, you even want to deal with your own principal? That hypocrite, he wants my woman, Zhou Hao said lightly. When Xiangdong suddenly understood. He had heard about the last time Du Fenghai kidnapped Yin Qingqing. Du Fenghai's two accomplices who were killed by Zhou Hao were also considered people in the underworld. Therefore, when Xiangdong knew that Zhou Hao was always full of smiles, he was far more mature than his peers when it came to dealing with people of his age. However, this was only on the surface. If anyone dared to praise his reverse scale, he would immediately transform into the fiercest lion and tear those people into pieces. And his reverse scale was his woman. All right, I'll get someone to help you inquire about it. There will be a result soon. When Xiangdong said, thank you, Zhou Hao raised his glass. At this moment, one of Wen Xiangdong's men walked over. Director 1, a group of people is coming. After saying that, he looked outside the food stall. When Xiangdong and Zhou Hao followed his gaze and saw more than 20 people walking over from the food stall. Each of them had an unfriendly expression on their faces. Some of them even had iron pipes in their hands. The person leading them was Shanji, who had lunch with Wei Yingyang. When Xiangdong's facial expression remained unchanged, he said to his subordinate, ask Atai to bring some men over. Also, go and see what's going on. Thus, one of Wen Xiangdong's subordinates made a phone call. The other subordinate walked towards the group of people and coldly asked the leader of the group, Shanji, who are you people? What do you want? I don't care who you are. If you know what's good for you, then scram to the side and mind your own business. Shanji scolded Wen Xiangdong's subordinate. When Wen Xiangdong's subordinate heard Shanji scolding, he frowned. He was also a member of the Xiang City's underworld. Normally, he would be fierce to others, but he had never been insulted by Shanji like today. Furthermore, he had never seen Shanji before, so he was sure that Shanji was not a famous figure in the underworld. Shanji had rudely pushed him away. He brought the 20 men and walked straight into the stall. He came to the table in front of Zhou Hao and Wen Xiangdong and stared at Zhou Hao, who was still sitting there drinking beer. You must be Zhou Hao. When Wen Xiangdong heard this, he couldn't help but find it funny. Initially, when he saw so many people coming, he thought that they were coming for him. After all, in the underworld, bloodshed was a common thing. He didn't expect that Shanji and the others were looking for Zhou Hao. Therefore, when Xiangdong looked at Zhou Hao with interest, wanting to see what kind of conflict he had with these people, Shanji knocked the steel pipe on the table on his shoulder and said fiercely to Zhou Hao, is it you, the gigolo, who seduced our sister-in-law? When Xiangdong, who was drinking a cup of beer, suddenly heard this and spat out the beer in his mouth. He stared at Zhou Hao and thought, did Zhou Hao violate the biggest taboo in the underworld? Hooking up with second sister-in-law? Zhou Hao also found it strange when he heard the pheasant's words. He asked in amusement, you said I seduced your sister-in-law. May I ask who your sister-in-law is? Could it be that you have mistaken her for someone else? Mountain Chicken glared at Zhou Hao. Don't King play dumb for me. I have already pointed out my name. How could I have mistaken you for someone else? You're Zhou Hao. No, you are Zhou Hao, that's not right. It's fine as long as you are Zhou Hao. Then we have not mistaken you for the wrong person. It turned out that when he was wandering nearby, he would occasionally see Zhou Hao in the stall, so he immediately informed these people to come over. When Xiangdong also spoke at this time, I say, brother, this friend of mine, cough cough, although he had a lot of girlfriends, there was one good thing about him, which was that he never forced others to do it. I think, is there a misunderstanding here? Hearing what Wen Xiangdong said, Zhou Hao looked at him curiously, because Zhou Hao didn't think that Wen Xiangdong, as the head of the Xiang City's underworld, would be so polite to a punk like Shanji. Just as Zhou Hao was thinking about Wen Xiangdong's actions, Shanji shouted, "There is absolutely no misunderstanding. According to the rules of the underworld, those who seduce other people's wives must leave one hand and one leg behind. Which hand and leg are you going to choose, or should we help you choose?" Wen Xiangdong asked in puzzlement. In the martial arts world, the punishment for second sister-in-law Go is to get rid of the gang with the punishment of 3 blades and 6 holes, isn't it? Why did she have to do it with one hand and one leg? When did the rules change? Shanji's expression changed slightly. He looked at Wen Xiangdong and said, "Brother, I think you are also from the underworld. What a great name." "Me?" Wen Xiangdong pointed at himself and looked outside. A smile appeared on his face. "I think you are a big shot in the society. I'm sure you have never heard of my nickname." Shanji was a little pleased with Wen Xiangdong's words and smiled. "No problem, no problem. Tell me about it. If you encounter any trouble in the future, perhaps I can help you too. In the path of Xiang City, I still have some face." "Hee, I can see it, I can see it." Wen Xiangdong smiled and said, "My surname is Wan, and my name is Xiang Dong. Those who give face to me will call me Master Dong, but I prefer them to call me CEO Wan." "Wen Xiangdong? Why does it sound so familiar?" Shanji was stunned for a moment, and then he saw a companion beside him trembling all over. He shouted in a frightened voice, "What are you doing? Are you having epilepsy?" "No. It's not that, Shanji." The hooligan swallowed his saliva and looked at Wen Xiangdong, who was sitting there with a smile on his face. "That's one. Wen Xiangdong, Master Dong our Xiang City's Master Dong." Shanji suddenly reacted and felt his heart tighten. He suddenly felt a tingling sensation on his scalp. It also trembled and turned to look at Wen Xiangdong. You are Master Dong?" "That's right." Wen Xiangdong still had a leisurely smile on his face. "You probably have never heard of my name before." Shanji's legs went soft, and he almost fell to his knees. Since he was a hooligan, he naturally knew who was in charge of the Xiang City. It was this Wen Xiangdong in front of him. However, to these delinquents, Wen Xiangdong stood too high up. They usually did not have the chance to see him, so they did not recognize him just now. "Brother Shanji, we are surrounded," the punk next to Shanji said again. Shanji immediately turned his head to look and was surprised to find that there were already 40 or 50 strong men outside. All of them were very strong, and these gangsters could not be compared to him. These 40 or 50 strong men were called over by Wen Xiangdong, and they were all people who worked under him. The subordinate of Wen Xiangdong, who was pushed to the side by Shanji, also walked over and shouted at Shanji and the others, "Put down all the guys in your hands. Believe it or not, I will chop your hands off." Shanji and the other punks could usually fight in groups and do things like stealing chickens and dogs, but they were much worse when it came to the real underworld. When he saw Wen Xiangdong's henchmen, a few of them had bulging waists. Clearly, they had guns. He quickly shouted to the people behind him, "Quick, put them down, put them all down." So, these 20 people threw the iron pipes in their hands onto the ground one after another. When Xiangdong slightly raised his head to look at the pheasant and said with a smile, "I don't like to raise my head to talk to people," his subordinate immediately shouted to Shanji and the others, "Kneel." How could Shanji and the others have the courage to resist? Without even thinking, they all knelt on the ground. At this time, Zhou Hao looked at the street opposite him and saw a familiar figure running away. He smiled and said to Wen Xiangdong, who was beside him, "There's another person over there who wants to escape from the net." Wen Xiangdong stretched his neck and looked outside. When he saw that someone was trying to escape, he immediately said to his subordinate, "Quick, go and catch that guy. Don't let him escape." 2. Immediately, 4 people chased after him. Zhou Hao and Wen Xiangdong looked at Shanji and the rest with smiles on their faces. When Shanji saw the smiles on their faces, he felt so regretful that he wanted to smash his head against the wall. He knew that he had kicked an iron wall this time. Shanji had heard many rumors about Wen Xiangdong. In the Xiang City's underworld, no one dared to go against his wishes. It was even easier for him to pinch these people to death than ants. Not long after that, Wen Xiangdong's men caught the man who wanted to escape. It was Wei Yingyang. Shanji had called Wei Yingyang over after discovering Zhou Hao. Wei Yingyang saw that the 3 girls he liked all liked Zhou Hao. He was really angry, so he asked Shanji to teach Zhou Hao a lesson. Therefore, as soon as he received Chicken's call, he rushed over excitedly, wanting to see how Zhou Hao was beaten into a pig's head. However, when he saw dozens of strong men surround Shanji and the others, he felt that something was wrong. Later, when he saw Shanji and the others drop their weapons and kneel on the ground, Wei Yingyang knew that something was wrong. He immediately got up and wanted to escape. Although his sports skills were better than ordinary people, he could run faster than ordinary people. However, when Xiangdong's subordinates all had rich experience in chasing deaths, they often chased those who wanted to escape deaths. They could surround and block all kinds of things, so Wei Yingyang was caught by them before he could walk a few hundred meters. When Xiangdong's two subordinates, one on the left and one on the right, escorted Wei Yingyang to Zhou Hao and Wen Xiangdong, they kicked Wei Yingyang's knee and made him kneel in front of Zhou Hao. Although he was very surprised, Wei Yingyang's hatred towards Zhou Hao was still very strong. Even though he was kneeling on the ground, his eyes were filled with dissatisfaction as he stared at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao just smiled faintly and pointed at Shanji and the others. He said to Wei Yingyang, "These people should be called here by you. The sister-in-law they are talking about should be your girlfriend. Then I don't understand. If you want to say that I had a conflict with you, I only won your class in the freshman cup. When did I seduce your girlfriend? You shameless be***starred. Wei Yingyang stared at Zhou Hao and said maliciously, "You are not satisfied with Gao Jingyi. You even took Situ Jianying and Wang Shijuan. What does this have to do with you?" Zhou Hao smiled in disdain. "I did not force them. I am happy with them. Besides, they are not interested in you at all. Why did you say I seduced your girlfriend? I say, you're too self-righteous." Wei Yuanjun and Wei Yingyang, this father and son pair, the old ones covet Li Ruolin's beauty, while the younger ones covet Gao Jingyi and the rest. This was too detestable. He heard Zhou Hao say again, "Besides, even if I really seduce your girlfriend, then you are too savage. You actually want one of my hands and one leg? You're even more mafia than the mafia." When Xiangdong said to Zhou Hao, "Xiao Hao, how do you want to deal with this guy? And these little hoodlums?" "Forget about the others," Zhou Hao said. "We will only arrest the main offender." Wei Yingyang and Shanji's expressions changed drastically when they heard that. The other gangsters who followed Shanji over felt as if they had been granted amnesty. They heaved a long sigh of relief. They knew how the gangsters dealt with their enemies. Zhou Hao pointed at Shanji and said, "He just wanted me to do it with one hand and one leg, so he had to do it with one hand and one leg." When Xiangdong nodded and said to his subordinate, "Someone, go and break his left hand and left leg." "Master Dong, don't." Shanji immediately begged for mercy. "Master Dong, spare me this time. I don't dare. Spare me." When Xiangdong ignored him, his two subordinates dragged Shanji out. Very soon, the pheasant's heart-wrenching scream was heard. When Wei Yingyang heard it, his face turned pale and his forehead was covered with a layer of cold sweat. He looked up at Zhou Hao and saw Zhou Hao smiling coldly at him. He said in a trembling voice, "Zhou Hao, don't do anything reckless. My dad is the principal of the school. If you dare to touch me, he will definitely make you quit school." Wei Yingyang knew that since Zhou Hao was with these gangsters, he naturally wasn't afraid of the police. So he could only bring out Wei Yuanjun and hope that Zhou Hao would not touch him on Wei Yuanjun's account. Zhou Hao held his chin and looked at Wei Yingyang. "You relied on your father as the principal to do whatever you want in school. I've heard about it a long time ago. And your father isn't a good person either. Don't worry. Since I've touched you, I naturally won't let him off. Find these hooligans to deal with me. Then I'll let you see what a real underworld gang is." He turned to look at Wen Xiangdong. "Uncle Wen, this guy, I don't want him to use one hand and one leg. Just let him leave 2 index fingers behind." When Wei Yingyang heard Zhou Hao say that he was going to take off his 2 index fingers, his facial expression changed drastically. He immediately shouted at Zhou Hao, "Zhou Hao, you dare." His dream was to play basketball. He planned to join the provincial team or even the national team in the future. If his 2 index fingers were crippled, his dream would be ruined, and his future would be hopeless. Zhou Hao knew that he played basketball well, so he wanted to lose 2 of his index fingers. He smiled at Wei Yingyang and said, "You don't dare? Why wouldn't I dare? If you and I change roles today, I believe you won't let me go either." The 2 men who were holding Wei Yingyang had already grabbed him and placed both of his hands on the table. Wei Yingyang struggled violently, wanting to get rid of the 2 men. One of them took a wooden stool leg and stabbed Wei Yingyang in the waist. "Ah!" Wei Yingyang screamed. At the same time, the intense pain made him lose all strength and stop moving. However, both of his hands were tightly clenched on the table, and he didn't stretch out his fingers. When Xiangdong's hand held the wooden stool leg and knocked heavily on Wei Yingyang's wrist, Wei Yingyang screamed again. He could not use any strength in his hands anymore. His 10 fingers trembled and opened up. At this time, Wei Yingyang also saw Shanji being dragged back by 2 strong men. His left elbow and left knee had been broken. The broken bones had even pierced through his skin and flesh, making him look very terrifying. Shanji's face was also completely bloodless. Both of his eyes were tightly shut, and he had already fainted. Wei Yingyang understood that these people were not joking. He could no longer be tough. He looked at Zhou Hao in fear and begged, "Zhou Hao, I beg of you, please let me go. I can't be crippled. I still want to play basketball. Please let me go." Zhou Hao shook his head slightly and picked up a glass of beer. "You should know the principle of the winner takes all, right? I'm sorry." As soon as Zhou Hao finished speaking, two people walked over with a sharp sawtooth knife in each hand. The knife reflected a cold light, which made Wei Yingyang's heart cold. He wanted to beg for mercy, but the two strong men showed a fierce look in their eyes. Then they held the knives in their hands and stabbed at Wei Yingyang's two index fingers at the same time. With a sound of chi, the two sabers were inserted into the table almost at the same time. Half of the sabers had also been inserted into the table. Wei Yingyang's two index fingers had also completely separated from his palms. Because the military knife was very sharp, Wei Yingyang could only feel two icy cold feelings coming from his index fingers at the beginning. After a few seconds, he felt pain. Then he saw blood flowing out of his hand. Slowly, it spread on the table. This scream was not only because of the pain, but also because he knew that his dream of becoming a basketball player was ruined. Zhou Hao and Wen Xiangdong watched Wei Yingyang's index finger being cut off. The expression on their faces did not change at all. They were so calm that it chilled their hearts. Wen Xiangdong even turned his head to the boss of the stall, the middle-aged man with a big belly, and said, "Old Zhu, where's your fortune? Let it come over." "All right." The man called Old Zhu responded with a smile. He walked into the kitchen and pulled out a big black wolf dog that was about 1 meter long. When Old Zhu brought this Wang Kai to Wen Xiangdong's side, Wen Xiangdong used his chopsticks to pick up Wei Yingyang's two index fingers and put them near Wang Kai's mouth. "Come, Wang Kai. I'll add extra food for you tonight." Wang Kai first glanced at Old Zhu. Seeing that he did not object, he opened his mouth and ate Wei Yingyang's index finger. He chewed loudly and then swallowed it. "Don't." Wei Yingyang, whose face was pale, looked at the big wolf dog eating his index finger and murmured weakly. He originally had a glimmer of hope and planned to wait for Wen Xiangdong and the others to leave before taking his index finger back to the hospital. If he was lucky, he could still get it back. But now, even if he cut open this big wolf dog's stomach, there was no hope. Zhou Hao sipped the beer bit by bit and did not say anything about Wen Xiangdong's actions. Those gangsters who followed the pheasant here watched helplessly as the pheasant's left hand and left leg were crippled. Wei Yingyang made people cut off the pheasant's fingers again. Wen Xiangdong did not change his face and fed Wei Yingyang's finger to that Wang Kai. The coldness and cruelty of talking and laughing really made them shiver. Furthermore, Wen Xiangdong seemed to be obedient to that young man called Zhou Hao. These punks could not help thinking in their hearts, "Is that Zhou Hao really a high school student? Why is he even more ruthless than us?" Wen Xiangdong said to these punks, "If someone asks you where you went tonight, just say that you slept at home and didn't go anywhere. Do you know?" "Yes, I know," they quickly answered. Wen Xiangdong smiled and said, "Where have you been tonight?" We were all sleeping at home. We didn't go anywhere." Wen Xiangdong smiled and nodded. Very good, very good. Then, let's go. I won't disturb you guys when you go home to sleep." These hooligans took a long breath and thanked Wen Xiangdong and Zhou Hao for a long time before quickly leaving. They probably wouldn't be able to sleep today either. Wen Xiangdong looked at the still unconscious pheasant and Wei Yingyang, who was lying on the table with only half of his life left. He said to his subordinates, "Send both of them back. Also, clean up this place. Don't drag Old Zhu into this as well." After Wei Yingyang and pheasant were taken away, Wen Xiangdong said to Zhou Hao, "Xiao Hao, you are so cruel. He is going to become a basketball player. If you cut off his fingers, won't you drive him to a dead end?" Zhou Hao took a sip of beer and smiled. "Uncle One, what are you talking about? The person who cut off his finger is your subordinate. I have not touched him from the beginning to the end. Don't accuse me unjustly." Wen Xiangdong was stunned for a moment, then he smiled bitterly and said, "Xiao Hao, you don't need to be a monk anymore after you finish your job." It was already past midnight when they returned to their residence. Li Ruolin had already taken a shower because she forgot to bring a change of clothes over. So she wore Zhou Hao's wide t-shirt. At this time, she was sitting on the sofa with her legs crossed. She was still holding Zhou Hao's book, The Condition of Witches. Her face was sometimes happy and sometimes sad, as if she had completely integrated into the story. Zhou Hao saw her slender and beautiful legs that were exposed outside her shirt and sat beside her. He held her shoulder with one hand and touched her thigh with the other. "Sister Lan, I'm back." Li Ruolin sniffled and rolled her eyes at Zhou Hao. You drank again? Hee hee, I met a friend and drank a little. But it doesn't matter. I'm not drunk. I can still fight at night. Zhou Hao said with a smile. Don't be shy. I didn't realize that you were so good at writing. I saw the condition of the witch that you wrote. Although the writing wasn't elegant, it had a very strong control over the plot. It was very easy for people to be substituted for it. Her voice became softer and softer. Your description of emotions is very detailed. The script of this teacher-student relationship was very detailed, which meant that Zhou Hao's feelings towards him were very detailed. Therefore, Li Ruolin was shy and touched at the same time. Seeing Li Ruolin's shy appearance, Zhou Hao could not help but hug her on his lap. He wrapped his arm around her waist and said, Sister Lan, how about the two of us get on the horse and lead the movie? I don't think there is anyone else who can act like us. How can that be? Li Ruolin immediately shook her head in disagreement. This way, wouldn't everyone know about our matter? No way. In the current country, the relationship between teachers and students was still very opposed. If the matter between the two of them was leaked out, Li Ruolin would probably immediately lose her job as a teacher, and Zhou Hao would also be under a lot of pressure. And Zhou Hao was only joking. He also knew that this was not feasible. He heard Li Ruolin say with a red face, Xiao Hao, you wrote in the script that the female teacher later got pregnant with her student's child? Zhou Hao knew what Li Ruolin was thinking when he heard that and deliberately said, Sister Lan, why don't we also have a child? When Li Ruolin heard that, her body trembled slightly and her beautiful eyes revealed a look of yearning. But after hesitating for a moment, she still shook her head. Not for now. You are still young and not suitable. Furthermore, it is not good to let Annie know. My parents will also force you to marry me. Actually, Li Ruolin still hoped that she could give birth to a child for the man she loved. But the objective conditions were not ripe yet, so she sensibly suppressed that impulse. Zhou Hao also nodded. Luckily, the birth control medicine that Zhou Hao gave Li Ruolin, according to Li Ruolin's, did not have any side effects. It could also be used as nourishing medicine to health. As for Su Lin, Liang Xiaobing, Yang Jiabao, Situ Jinying and other women who were related to Zhou Hao, they also drank this kind of pill to avoid killing people one day. After spending an enchanting night with Li Ruolin in this residence, the next morning, the two of them went back to school together. However, when they arrived at the school gate, Zhou Hao and the others saw that there were quite a number of police officers in the school. Zhou Hao smiled helplessly. He knew that Wei Yuanjun would definitely call the police when he found out that it was him who had his son's finger chopped off. However, those hooligans who were present last night did not dare to be witnesses, and the evidence had been destroyed by Wen Xiangdong's men. Therefore, without any evidence and only Wei Yingyang's one-sided statement, there was no way to sue Zhou Hao. Coincidentally, the officer in charge of commanding the school was someone Zhou Hao recognized. He was a captain under Situ Li with the surname Zhou. Zhou Hao walked into the school gate with Li Ruolin as if nothing had happened and headed straight for Captain Zhou. Captain Zhou also saw Zhou Hao at this time. When he saw Zhou Hao wearing his school uniform, he smiled and greeted him. Hey, Xiao Hao, haha, you finally look like a student. Captain Zhou, don't laugh at me. Zhou Hao scratched his head. Right, what happened? Oh, it's like this. Captain Zhou explained. Just now, a man barged into the principal's office in your school's office building. He wanted to attack your principal with a watermelon knife, but he was stopped by a few male teachers. We just sent him to the station. Huh. Zhou Hao originally thought that these policemen were called by Wei Yuanjun to arrest him, but he did not expect that it would be another matter. Furthermore, the man who attacked Wei Yuanjun had also aroused Zhou Hao's interest. So Zhou Hao asked curiously, Captain Zhou, why did that man attack our principal? Captain Zhou looked around and whispered into Zhou Hao's ear. That man seems to be surnamed Pan. When he attacked your principal, he even shouted that your principal raped his wife. I don't know if it's true or not. So we asked your principal to follow us back to assist in the investigation. Zhou Hao suddenly understood. It seemed that Wei Yuanjuan's desire for Li Ruolin's beauty was not just a spur of the moment, but a long time ago. At this moment, Wei Yuanjun was coming out of the office with a few policemen. When he saw Zhou Hao, he immediately showed an angry expression and shouted to Captain Zhou, Captain Zhou, this guy asked someone to cut off my son's finger. Hurry up and catch him. This guy colluded with the gangs to harm my son. Zhou Hao curled his lips. It seemed that Wei Yingyang had already told Wei Yuanjun that he asked someone to cut off his finger. Captain Zhou and Li Ruolin, who did not know about this, looked at Zhou Hao in surprise when they heard what Wei Yuanjun said. Captain Zhou smiled bitterly and said, Xiao Hao, why is it that nothing good happens to you every time we meet? It seems like you will have to come with us. Captain Zhou, don't accuse me wrongly. When did I get someone to cut off his son's finger? Zhou Hao said innocently, I was with my form teacher last night. Li Ruolin heard him say that, and her face immediately changed. She heard Zhou Hao say, I didn't have a few days of classes this semester. I was afraid I couldn't keep up with the classes, so I asked Teacher Li to come to my house to tutor me. If you don't believe me, you can ask her. Seeing Captain Zhong heading over, she asked. She thought that you really scared me to death. She thought that you were going to tell others about us. This must be Teacher Li. Is what Xiao Hao said true? Captain Zhong obviously did not believe Zhou Hao. After all, Zhou Hao had many previous offenses. There were also many people who were disabled or imprisoned because of him. Li Ruolin steadied her emotions and said with a slightly red face, Yes, it's true. Last night, I went to Zhou Hao's house to help him with his homework. She rarely lied to others, especially to the police. But in order to protect Zhou Hao, she could only bite the bullet and cooperate with him. Compared to Zhou Hao, Captain Zhong still believed in the dignified and beautiful Li Ruolin. However, since Wei Yuanjun had brought it up, regardless of whether there was evidence or not, he would take Zhou Hao back to the Public Security Bureau to take a statement. Therefore, Wei Yuanjun, Zhou Hao, and Li Ruolin all got into the police car and followed Captain Zhong to the Public Security Bureau. In the police car, Zhou Hao asked Wei Yuanjun with a caring expression, Principal Wei, Wei Yingyang's finger was cut off? How could this happen? Did Wei Yingyang offend someone? Sigh, I really didn't expect this. Seeing Zhou Hao still putting on an act, Wei Yuanjun, who was usually able to control his emotions, couldn't help but become furious. He stared at Zhou Hao and swore, Zhou Hao, don't you King cry for me like a rat. I know it was you who made those gangs cut off Yingyang's fingers. Poor Yingyang had always dreamed of becoming a basketball player. Now it's all ruined by you, devil. I swear, I will kick you out of Yining Middle School. Zhou Hao shrugged, Principal Wei, don't slander people without evidence. I can sue you for slander. Also, if you want to chase me away, then chase me away. Don't you know that this is a false public service? Captain Zhong, who was sitting in front, was secretly speechless when he heard the conversation between the two. It seemed like Zhou Hao was not afraid of this principal at all. He recalled that when he was studying in the past, he rarely had the chance to talk to the principal. It was precisely this opportunity that made his legs go weak. How could he be as jovial as Zhou Hao now? Li Ruolin had never had a good impression of Wei Yuanjun, so Zhou Hao did not have any reaction to him. When they arrived at the Public Security Bureau, Zhou Hao saw Situ Li and immediately greeted him warmly, Uncle Situ. However, when Situ Li saw Zhou Hao, he helplessly rubbed his forehead, because every time he saw Zhou Hao in the Public Security Bureau, nothing good would happen. As soon as Wei Yuanjun sat down, he said that he wanted to sue Zhou Hao and the man named Pan who attacked him in the morning. Situ Li said to him, Principal Wei, according to your son's confession, I have sent someone to that big stall to collect evidence. However, the stall owner said that he had never seen Zhou Hao and those gangsters last night. We didn't find the big wolf dog your son said he ate his finger. The people around the food stall also said that there's no dog at the food stall. After a pause, Situ Li said again, Also, we found that pheasant. That's right. His left hand and left foot were seriously injured. But he said that he only got hurt because he fell down the stairs, not because he was crippled like your son said. As for the others, they all said they were at home last night and didn't even leave the house. Seeing Wei Yuanjun's expression getting uglier and uglier, Situ Li shook his head and sighed. Principal Wei, it's not that the police don't want to help you, but there's no evidence that Zhou Hao asked someone to cut off your son's finger. As for whether those gangsters did it or not, we will continue to investigate. Wei Yuanjun sneered and said, That means we can't sue Zhou Hao? Situ Li nodded. Legally, it is like this. Unless we can find sufficient evidence, the police can't accuse others unjustly. Zhou Hao also said to Wei Yuanjun, That's right. Principal Wei, everything has to be based on evidence. Even if your status is higher than others, you can't just accuse people unjustly. Good, very good. Wei Yuanjun said with a fake smile, then stood up and left Situ Li's office. He had clearly heard Situ Li call him uncle just now. He knew that their relationship was not shallow. Wei Yingyang had also said that Zhou Hao and Situ Li's daughter Situ Jinying were lovers, so Wei Yuanjun knew that he would not be able to use Situ Li to deal with Zhou Hao. After Wei Yuanjun walked out, Zhou Hao smiled at Situ Li and said, Uncle Situ, you are really like a god when you commit a crime. Humph. Humph. That Wei Yuanjun, he casually wronged a good person. It was all thanks to him that he was the principal. Situ Li slapped his forehead. You brat, you still want to say that? Don't think that I don't know. You are most likely the one who did this. But you're not stupid. You know how to seal those people's mouths and erase the evidence. Zhou Hao had an inexplicable expression on his face. Uncle Situ, what did you say? I have never done anything. All right, all right. I won't say any more. It's good that you know in your heart. Situ Li shook his head. He really had no idea what to do with Zhou Hao. Putting aside the fact that Zhou Hao was very smart and didn't leave any evidence behind, it was because Wei Yuanjun had found the evidence. However, as long as the Zhao family was here, no one could touch Zhou Hao unless the chairman of the country was personally involved. Right, Uncle Situ, didn't a man with the surname Pan attack Wei Yuanjun just now? Where is he now? I want to see him. Zhou Hao said. Situ Li knew what Zhou Hao wanted to do the moment he heard it. He smiled helplessly. You are really ruthless. Principal Wei can't do anything to you, but you want to deal with him instead. Forget it. Forget it. I don't care about you anymore. That person is in the detention room. I'll get someone to bring you there. Thank you, Uncle Situ. Zhou Hao smiled. After that, Zhou Hao went to the detention room and saw the man named Pan. It was a man in his 30s. He had average facial features and a medium-sized body. His hands and feet were locked on chairs. There were a few bruises on his face. He must have been beaten by the male teachers and later by the police. Perhaps he had been taught a lesson by the police, but the man was sitting quietly on the chair. He only glanced at Zhou Hao when he came in. There was some doubt in his eyes, but he didn't say anything. Staring deeply at the man, Zhou Hao took the initiative to speak. You said Wei Yuanjun raped your wife? That's right. The man's calm voice carried a deep unwillingness and anger. I didn't slander him. It's useless for you to hit me. The truth is that the B***starred who is worse than a beast bullied my wife. Then do you have proof? Zhou Hao asked again. The man was slightly stunned. Then he lowered his shoulders. He said dejectedly, No. If that's the case, it's hard to prove that Wei Yuanjun bullied your wife. Zhou Hao sat across from the man. Think about it carefully. If you have evidence, I can help you arrest Wei Yuanjun. The man named Pan raised his eyelids. You said you would help me? Yes. Zhou Hao nodded solemnly. Seeing Zhou Hao's sincere gaze, Pan lowered his head and thought for a moment before saying, My wife said that Wei Yuanjun, that beast, likes to collect the underwear of women that he had taken, especially those that have menstrual blood stains. Zhou Hao, who could kill without blinking, couldn't help but open his eyes wide when he heard this. He looked at Pan with surprise and doubt. What? What did you say? Wei Yuanjun likes to collect women's underwear? Or the kind with menstruation? Pan said angrily, That's right. Once, my wife's menstruation came. That B***starred actually didn't let her go and forcefully raped her. Not only that, but he also took a video of my wife raped and recorded it as a VCD. He threatened my wife not to leak it. Hearing what he said, Zhou Hao guessed that his wife had been raped by Wei Yuanjun more than once. So Zhou Hao asked him, Then, can your wife testify against Wei Yuanjun? With your wife's testimony, there will be a lot of chances to convict Wei Yuanjun. However, after Zhou Hao asked this question, Pan didn't answer. Instead, he just shrugged and sobbed. His expression was very sad, and it made people deeply understand the meaning of, men don't cry easily because they haven't been hurt. Zhou Hao suddenly felt that something was wrong. He asked tentatively, Mr. Pan, is your wife all right? The man named Pan covered his face and cried even more sadly. My wife, she died. What's going on? Zhou Hao asked curiously. Therefore, the man surnamed Pan whimpered and told him what had happened. It turned out that his name was Pan Liangqing. His wife, Xiao Xiaoping, was a primary school teacher in Guangzhou, and Wei Yuanjun was the principal of that school. Due to working relationship, Pan Liangqing was transferred to Xinjiang by his company for a year. Wei Yuanjun saw that Xiao Xiaoping was beautiful, so he had evil intentions. Just like how he used benefits and positions to tempt Li Ruolin, Wei Yuanjun also used promotions to tempt Xiao Xiaoping to try to get her. However, Xiao Xiaoping was a woman with strong principles and was deeply devoted to Pan Liangqing. How could she agree to Wei Yuanjun? Wei Yuanjun saw that he could not tempt her, so he deliberately let Xiao Xiaoping come to his house with the excuse of reporting the situation. After that, he ignored Xiao Xiaoping's resistance and forcefully raped her. Xiao Xiaoping, who had been humiliated, didn't dare to tell Pan Liangqing, who was far away in Xi'an, so he could only hide it in his heart. Who would have thought that Wei Yuanjun would know her taste? So he used her sex VCD as a threat to humiliate her one after another. Until later, Xiao Xiaoping was pregnant with Wei Yuanjun's child. But Xiao Xiaoping hated him to the bone. How could he be willing to keep such a B***starred child? However, she did not dare let others know, so she went to a private clinic to expel the child. But that was a black clinic. There was no perfect human flow equipment and medical staff. Thus, even though Xiao Xiaoping ultimately caused that B***-starred child to die, he also lost his fertility due to the severe injuries he suffered. Xiao Xiaoping and Pan Liangqing still had no children, and Pan Liangqing's family was still hoping that Xiao Xiaoping would be able to pass down the family line. Thus, Xiao Xiaoping knew that he had lost his chastity and could no longer bear children for Pan Liangqing. With a thought, he swallowed 2 bottles of sleeping pills and committed suicide. When Pan Liangqing received the news that he had rushed back from Xinjiang, he could only meet his wife at the morning hall for the last time. Originally, he did not know why his wife had suddenly committed suicide, but after finding Xiao Xiaoping's diary at home, he found out what had happened. It was also from Xiao Xiaoping's diary that Pan Liangqing found out that Wei Yuanjun had collected the underwear of the woman he had taken, as well as secretly filmed the VCD. At this time, Wei Yuanjun had been transferred from Guangzhou to Xiang City to be the principal of Yining Middle School. Hence, Pan Liangqing chased after Wei Yuanjun in grief and indignation, wanting to die together with Wei Yuanjun. Unfortunately, he didn't hurt Wei Yuanjun and was subdued by the male teachers of the school. My wife wrote in her diary. Other than her, there were a few other female teachers in the school who suffered the same fate. However, they were angry at Wei Yuanjun, that beast. They did not dare to say anything. Pan Liangqing said. After listening to Pan Liangqing's narration, Zhou Hao clenched his fists tightly. He was also very angry about Wei Yuanjun's actions. He thought in his heart, fortunately, he discovered it early. If Wei Yuanjun had used this move on Li Rulin while he was away, it would have been unimaginable. Furthermore, he was going to deal with Wei Yuanjun this time. It was not just for personal grudges. It was to get rid of evil for the people. Captain Zhong, who was also in the detention room, also said hatefully, I didn't expect that Wei Yuanjun, who looks like a cultured and upright person, was actually a vicious wolf with human skin on his head. Don't worry, Mr. Pan. We will definitely help you get justice. Zhou Hao glanced at him. He thought to himself, you guys just got sent to the Public Security Bureau, and you beat him up indiscriminately. Now you're here to seek justice again. Seeing Zhou Hao's disdainful gaze, Captain Zhong scratched his head and coughed twice before muddling along. After that, Zhou Hao and Captain Zhong went to find Situ Li and asked him to send a search warrant to search Wei Yuanjun's residence. They wanted to find the women's underwear and VCD as evidence. Originally, Wei Yuanjun was the principal of Yining Middle School and was also a disciplinary officer. It was not easy to search his residence. It would be fine if they found evidence, but if they could not find it, Wei Yuanjun would easily bite back on them. If it was in the past, Situ Li wouldn't approve this search warrant, but now that it was Zhou Hao's idea, Situ Li thought that Wei Yuanjun wouldn't be a match for the Zhao family no matter what he did. Therefore, he signed his name on the search warrant. Before Zhou Hao left with Captain Zhong and the others, Situ Li even specially instructed them. Remember, we must enforce the law of civilization. When Zhou Hao heard Situ Li's words, he was still cursing in his heart. You are the violent organization of the country, so why are you talking about enforcing the law of civilization? After that, Zhou Hao and Captain Zhong first sent Li Rulin back to school. After all, she still had classes. As for Zhou Hao, Li Rulin would naturally take a leave of absence for him. Zhou Hao, Captain Zhong, and a few policemen rushed to Wei Yuanjun's residence without stopping. It was a high-class neighborhood unit. However, no one came to open the door even though they had been ringing the doorbell for a long time. Zhou Hao immediately said, they might have gone to the hospital to see Wei Yang. Captain Zhong, you should know how to open locks, right? Then go in. If no one is here, it will be more convenient for us. Captain Zhong hesitated for a moment. This is not good. What are you afraid of? We already have a search warrant. Besides, don't tell me you've never done this before. Feeling helpless, Captain Zhong could only let one of his subordinates open the door. Lockpicking was one of the police's professional skills. Zhou Hao saw the young policeman open the Wei family's door in less than 10 seconds. Wei Yuanjun's unit consisted of 4 rooms and 2 halls. It was very spacious. Seeing that there was no one inside, Captain Zhong immediately ordered his men to search. Zhou Hao leisurely sat on the sofa in the hall. He saw that there was a lot of good wine on the wine cabinet in the hall. There was also a treadmill on the balcony. He crossed his legs and said, I didn't expect our principal's life to be so comfortable. After half an hour, the police still hadn't found anything. Captain Zhong said to Zhou Hao, I'm afraid Wei Yuanjun did not leave those things at home. Let's leave before they come back. Even if there is a search warrant, if there is no evidence, we will be in trouble. No need. I know those things are here. Zhou Hao said. How do you know? Captain Zhong looked at Zhou Hao suspiciously. Zhou Hao pointed at his forehead. Intuition. He stood up and walked straight into the study. A policeman said, "We have already searched this study, but we did not find anything suspicious." Zhou Hao did not say anything. When he walked into the study, he saw a desk. Leaning against the wall, there were two large bookcases. There were all kinds of books placed on it. There were also the medals of Wei Yuanjuan's excellent workers. Zhou Hao looked around and walked to the front of the bookshelf. Suddenly, he swept all the medals and banners on the top of the bookshelf onto the ground. "Xiao Hao, what are you doing? We have to be responsible for breaking someone's things," Captain Zhong quickly said. Zhou Hao smiled and said, "There is no need to find evidence." As he spoke, he pried open the wooden planks that were tightly pressed against the wall of the bookshelf. Captain Zhong and the other policemen looked at the wall behind the wooden plank in surprise. There was a secret compartment in a rectangular shape, with sealed plastic bags inside. There were many female underwear sealed inside, and many of them had obvious blood stains on them. It should be the menstruation marks mentioned by Pan Liangqing. On the other side of the secret compartment, there were also VCDs neatly placed. Just by looking at them, there were about 20 to 30 of them. "Found it," Captain Zhong said in surprise. "Quick, quick, bring all these back to the police station." Zhou Hao looked at the female underwear sealed in the sealed plastic bag and thought to himself that one should not judge a book by its cover. He did not think that Wei Yuanjun would have such a fetish. If he continued to be the principal, it would really be a misleading act. With this evidence, not only would Wei Yuanjun not be able to become the principal of Yining Middle School, he might even lose his reputation and spend more than half of his life in prison. Captain Zhong excitedly asked his men to take away the evidence. He smiled and said to Zhou Hao, "Xiao Hao, did you know that Wei Yuanjun hid the evidence here?" "No, it's my first time at his house." Zhou Hao shook his head and said, "Then your intuition is really amazing." Captain Zhong exclaimed, "I think you should be a police officer. I think if you were a police officer, you would have the title of Divine Detective Zhou Hao very soon." After taking the evidence back to the Public Security Bureau, the police began to collect evidence immediately. Those female underwear were naturally harder to obtain evidence, but the VCD taken by Wei Yuanjun to threaten the female teacher had taken a photo of him raping the female teacher. It could be said that the evidence was conclusive. When Captain Zhong brought people to the hospital to arrest Wei Yuanjun, Wei Yuanjun's wife and Wei Yang were both shocked. Wei Yuanjun even shouted at Captain Zhong, saying that he was the principal of Yining Middle School and a government official. "You can't arrest me." However, when Captain Zhong told him that he had found the female underwear and VCD, Wei Yuanjun found it hard to believe at first. Then, he looked at Captain Zhong, who had handcuffed him, and took him away with a pale face. Wei Yuanjun's wife did not know what her husband did, so after following him to the Public Security Bureau and seeing the VCD, she fainted. Because the female teachers that Wei Yuanjun had violated were all from the elementary school in Guangzhou, he hadn't had the time to commit a crime after he came to Yining Middle School. So the Xiang City Public Security Bureau handed him back to the Guangzhou Public Security Bureau and asked the Guangzhou City Discipline Inspection Committee and the Xiang City Discipline Inspection Committee to investigate Wei Yuanjun's problem. The result was just as Zhou Hao had expected. Wei Yuanjun was the same as many other officials. If they didn't investigate, there would be no problem. Once they did, there would definitely be a problem. Apart from violating the female teachers, Wei Yuanjun had also received many bribes, including the school fees for some students and bribes from the construction company through bidding for the school's construction projects. The bribes involved were several million yuan. At this point, Wei Yuanjun's reputation was really ruined. And with his crimes, even if he did not sentence him to death, he would still be imprisoned for life. However, in order to prevent the reputation of Yining Middle School from being tarnished, the Xiang City government had sealed off the information regarding Wei Yuanjun's case. They only told the public that Wei Yuanjun was transferred to another place for personal reasons. Therefore, other than Zhou Hao and Li Rulin, who were very few in number, the teachers and students of Yining Middle School did not know why the principal, who had an outstanding working ability, was suddenly transferred to another place. As for Wei Yang, after Wei Yuanjun was arrested, he also knew that he could not sue Zhou Hao. He was afraid that Zhou Hao would seek revenge on him again. So he transferred to another city in a few days. During this period of time, Zhou Hao lived a very comfortable life in his residence. Li Rulin and Situ Jianying took turns to spend the night at his place, making Zhou Hao forget to come back after having fun every night. Yin Qingqing and Wang Shijuan often went to his place to help him clean up the house, wash the clothes, wash the dishes, and so on. A few women circled around Zhou Hao and treated him like an old master, letting him enjoy the pleasures of sex. At the same time, the Heavenly River Drink Group's fist product, orange fruit, was about to be pushed out of the market. Zhou Hao planned to go to the production base in Huayu Village to take a look. On this day, Yin Qingqing came to Zhou Hao's place to cook for him. After eating, the two of them leaned against each other on the sofa and watched TV. Of course, their thoughts were not on the television. Zhou Hao's hand on Yin Qingqing's waist was also restless. He gently caressed Yin Qingqing's smooth and soft skin on her waist. "Xiao Hao, you haven't been home for a long time." Yin Qingqing rested her head on Zhou Hao's shoulder and said faintly, "Aunt misses you. She wants to call you, but she is afraid that you are still angry with her." She pushed Zhou Hao. "Xiao Hao, how long do you plan to sulk with Aunt? Although Aunt and Uncle are also in the wrong, Aunt is right. He is still your father." Although she knew that Zhou Liren and Zhou Hao did not have a good relationship, according to seniority and relationship, Yin Qingqing still had to call him uncle. Zhou Hao said lightly, "He doesn't deserve it. Xiao Hao, don't be so childish. Don't be angry with your aunt again," Yin said softly. Hearing Yin Qingqing's crisp voice, Zhou Hao felt that his bones had gone soft. He didn't expect Yin Qingqing to use such an invincible killing move to ease the relationship between him and her family. "Xiao Hao, all right. Don't be angry with your aunt." Yin Qingqing hugged Zhou Hao's arm and said in a sweet voice. Yin Qingqing had never flirted with Zhou Hao before. In Zhou Hao's eyes, Yin Qingqing was as gentle as a sister and as a wife to him. However, the lethality of Yin Qingqing acting coquettishly now was so great. "Xiao Hao, good little brother, you just agreed?" Yin Qingqing put her face on Zhou Hao's chest and said in a greasy voice. Zhou Hao shouted in his heart that he could not take it anymore and quickly said, all right, I'll call Mom. If you keep calling, my bones will go soft. If I don't agree, I'm afraid I won't be your good brother anymore." He secretly sighed. When such a graceful woman like Yin Qingqing started to act coquettishly, her allure was actually even greater than Situ Jianying's calling of bed. Thus, he dialed Yin Tong's number. Actually, he also missed Yin Tong very much. It was just that Zhou Liren was in the middle, causing Zhou Hao to have a knot in his heart. The call went through very quickly. Yin Tong's voice came from the other side. "Hello. Hello, it's Yin Tong." When he heard his mother's voice again, Zhou Hao sighed in his heart and said, "Mom, it's me. Xiao Hao." Yin Tong's voice was full of surprise. However, after calling Zhou Hao, the mother and son did not know what to say. In the end, it was Yin Tong who opened her mouth. "Xiao Hao, when do you plan to go home? Mom misses you very much." "But I don't want to see him," Zhou Hao said. "That's your father." Yin Tong sighed. "Can you not see him for the rest of your life?" "If it is possible, I would rather do that." "Xiao Hao." Yin Tong raised her voice. "Mom." Zhou Hao's voice was very calm. "I'm different from you. I don't have any feelings for that person. If you insist, you can only hate him. I know you don't want us to end up like this. But, Mom, I'm not the one who caused today's situation. Besides, I'm not a 3-year-old anymore. I already have my own thoughts. So, Mom, I love you and respect you. But I hope you won't force me. If I don't deal with that person and make him completely disappear from our world, that would already be very restrained." The other side of the phone was silent for a long time. Zhou Hao only heard Yin Tong's heavy breathing. Zhou Hao also did not hang up the phone. He just quietly waited for Yin Tong like this. Finally, Yin Tong opened her mouth. "Since that's the case, Sai. Anyway, he did not have any work right now. Then arrange for him to work in the factory in Huayu Village. This way, you won't have to see him anymore." "Arrange for him to work at the factory in Heavenly River?" Zhou Hao was surprised. With his personality, can he be at ease and work? "He said he will change," Yin Tong said. "Then let him go to the factory to grind. Your uncle and the others will also look at him. Xiao Hao, just treat it as Mom begging you." "Mom, don't be like this. I'll agree to it." Hearing Yin Tong's sincere tone, Zhou Hao thought about it again and could only agree. However, he had always believed that Zhou Liren was the kind of person who was lazy and addicted to gambling. He had been like this for decades. As the saying went, it was hard to change the nature of a river, so Zhou Hao did not think that Zhou Liren would change. In Zhou Hao's opinion, the reason Zhou Liren had stayed by Yin Tong's side was because he had taken a fancy to Zhou Hao and the others' wealth. After putting down the phone, Zhou Hao turned to Yin Qingqing who was beside him and said, "Cousin Qingqing, I will return to Huayu Village tomorrow. Can you come with me?" Yin Qingqing nodded. "I also want to go back and see my parents and grandparents." Therefore, Zhou Hao applied for leave from the school the next day. He drove a Land Rover to the entrance of Guanghu Manor to pick up Yin Qingqing and Zhou Liren. Looking at the entrance of the Guanghu Manor, Zhou Hao smiled bitterly in his heart. The house here was obviously his. But now, He made himself look like an outsider. Why did he have to do that? Yin Tong, Zhou Liren, and Yin Qingqing came downstairs. Zhou Liren was still holding a suitcase. Zhou Hao also got off the car and walked over. He did not look at Zhou Liren, who was much more energetic. Instead, he looked at Yin Tong deeply. Yin Tong also did not speak. She only touched Zhou Hao's face lovingly, and there was a motherly smile on her face. Everything was in silence. Sister Qingqing, get in the car. He helped Yin Qingqing take her handbag and got into the off-road vehicle. Seeing Zhou Hao get into the car, Zhou Liren angrily said to Yin Tong, Look, does he still think I am his father? You should ask yourself, have you done your father's duty all these years? Yin Tong glared at him. Zhou Liren snorted. Yin Tong helped him adjust his collar and said softly, After you go there, you must work hard. Xiao Hao's attitude towards you cannot be changed in a day. You have to prove to him that you have really changed. She stared at Zhou Liren deeply. Liren, Xiao Hao has grown up now. Although he treats me very well. But now he's the head of the family. If you really want to come back, if you really want to regain your family, you must get past Xiao Hao. Liren, promise me that you won't make a mistake again. Otherwise, you won't have the chance to get Xiao Hao's forgiveness in your lifetime. Zhou Liren nodded and said, I know. I will let him know that I am sincere in repenting. After we go to the factory, I will not be by your side. You have to know how to take care of yourself. Yin Tong told Zhou Liren, also, go to my house more often. If Mom, Dad, and Big Brother are willing to help you, you will have a greater chance of getting Xiao Hao's forgiveness. I will. He took his suitcase and turned around to walk to the off-road vehicle. On the way to the Huayu village in Xiang City, Zhou Hao didn't say a word to Zhou Liren, who was sitting in the back seat. Yin Qingqing, who was sitting beside him, felt that the relationship between the father and son was very stiff. She also felt very uncomfortable, so she took the initiative to chat with the father and son. However, Zhou Hao usually only talked to Yin Qingqing. Whenever it involved Zhou Liren, he would immediately shut his mouth. Zhou Liren was not much better. Zhou Hao ignored him. He also ignored Zhou Hao and chatted with Yin Qingqing. It made Yin Qingqing sigh with emotion. Although the relationship between the father and son was not good, they were both stubborn. Soon, Zhou Hao returned to Huayu village, but this time he did not go to the factory first. Instead, he went to Yin Mudong and Yin Munin's house. Uncle, this should be your second time coming to our place. Yin Qingqing smiled at Zhou Liren. Zhou Liren had only come to Huayu village to meet with the Yin family when he was married to Yin Tong. After that, he had not come here for more than 10 years. So this was his second time coming here. Yin Mudong and Yin Munin knew that Zhou Hao and the others were coming, so they had been waiting for them at the door for a long time. After Zhou Liren got off the car, he saw the newly built independent house of the Yin family. He said in surprise, Even you guys built a new house? Seeing Zhou Liren, Yin Mudong, and Yin Munin's expressions did not look too good. Yin Tong was their most beloved sister, but she had suffered because of Zhou Liren. If Zhou Hao had not changed everyone's lives, Yin Tong would still be suffering. Yin Qingqing saw that her father and uncle did not have a good expression, so she could only say to Zhou Liren, Yes, uncle. She also had to thank Xiao Hao. Not only did he make my uncle the village chief, he also opened a fruit company for my father. Uncle, Grandpa and Grandma are all in there. I'll go in and take a look at them. Zhou Hao, who was standing at the side, didn't pay attention to Zhou Liren. He just followed Yin Mudong and Yin Munin in. Zhou Liren looked at Zhou Hao's back and followed Yin Qingqing in. Zhou Hao's grandfather and grandmother were drinking tea on the first floor. When they saw Zhou Liren, the two elders were stunned for a moment. Then, the bad-tempered grandfather cursed. You be *starred. How dare you come and see us? In fact, Yin Tong had already called Yin Mudong and the others, so they knew Zhou Liren would come. Yin Mudong and Yin Munin, on Yin Tong's account. Although they didn't like Zhou Liren in their hearts, they still wouldn't scold him. However, they knew that most of their daughter's life had been ruined by Zhou Liren. Therefore, they didn't show any good expression to Zhou Liren. Zhou Hao didn't stop his grandfather from reprimanding Zhou Liren. He just stood aside and watched, thinking that he understood how his grandfather and grandmother felt. If his daughter was also deceived, he wouldn't have a good expression on his face. However, he saw Zhou Liren kneel down in an instant. He cried out to the two elders with tears streaming down his face. Dad, Mom, I was wrong. It was I who let Tong down. Yes, it was I who let her down. I let you two down. I know I was wrong. Everyone was stunned when they saw his actions. Even Zhou Hao was a little surprised because he saw that Zhou Liren's tears and snot really came as he pleased. He was better than any actor. At this time, Zhou Liren also knelt down and crawled towards the two elders. When he arrived before them, he kowtowed loudly and admitted his mistake. He looked like a prodigal who would never change his attitude. Grandfather wanted to scold him, but his grandmother's heart softened. She tugged at his sleeve and said, "Forget it. Since he knows his mistake, let's see if he really changes his ways. After all, he is Ah Tong's husband and Xiaohao's father." Upon hearing his grandmother's words and seeing that Zhou Liren's face was full of tears, his grandfather snorted. "Then let's see if you have really changed. If I find out that you are lying to us, I, this old man, will personally bring Ah Tong to divorce you." Thank you, father." Zhou Liren kowtowed a few more times. Looking at this scene, Zhou Hao also sighed slightly, and his cold expression loosened a little. After sitting for a while in the Yin family, Zhou Hao said lightly, "All right, let's go to the factory." After saying that, he stood up and walked out of the house. It took Zhou Liren a while to realize that Zhou Hao was talking to him. He looked happy and immediately said goodbye to the two old Taoist priests. He hurriedly followed them out. The factory was on the other side of Huayu village. Zhou Hao drove the Land Rover and soon arrived. Compared to the last time he came here, the scale of the factory had increased a lot. Zhou Liren originally thought that Zhou Hao's Heavenly River Drink Group was just a small factory, but now he knew that it was so large. Yin Tong had told Zhou Liren that Zhou Hao rarely participated in the management and operation of Tongguang Food and Limited Company, and that he had his own investment business. Zhou Liren had thought that Zhou Hao's so-called investment was just a small matter, but now it seemed that Zhou Hao's business had far exceeded his expectations. The director of the factory, Dai Zhanwang, and the person in charge of the technical development department, Li Chufan, came out to welcome Zhou Hao. When he saw Zhou Hao, Li Chufan welcomed him with a smile. "Xiao Hao, our orange fruit will be officially listed the day after tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it." Zhou Hao also smiled. "I'm also looking forward to it. Director Dai, do we have enough stock?" Dai Zhanwang quickly nodded and said, "We have more than 800,000 boxes stored in our warehouse." In fact, he was a little worried about so much stock. In the end, he could not sell all of it. Zhou Hao immediately saw through Dai Zhanwang's worries. He smiled and said, "Director Dai, you should be worried about whether our stock is enough or not. I think after tomorrow, our factory will have to work overtime to catch up." At this moment, Li Chufan and Dai Zhanwang looked at the man behind Zhou Hao who looked somewhat similar to him. "Xiao Hao, this is. His name is Zhou Liren. My mother asked me to arrange a job for him." Zhou Hao said to Li Chufan and Dai Wang, "Let him be a security guard first. His salary is the same as other security guards, and there is no need to treat him specially. Oh right, arrange an employee dormitory for him." Dai Zhanwang and Li Chufan did not know what Zhou Liren's background was, but since it was Zhou Hao who spoke, they would do it. After making arrangements for Zhou Liren, Zhou Hao didn't bother with him anymore. He followed Dai Zhanwang and Li Chufan to observe the situation in the factory. Compared to the last time they came, the factory here had built 2 more independent factories. There were also 2 spacious warehouses. There were more workers than before. After walking around the factory, Li Chufan and Dai Zhanwang brought Zhou Hao to the building in the technology development department. "What's going on? Uncle, why are you guys so secretive?" Zhou Hao asked curiously when he saw Li Chufan and Dai Zhanwang's mysterious expressions. Li Chufan poured Zhou Hao a cup of crimson drink that looked like a foreign wine. "Xiao Hao, try this." Zhou Hao took it over in puzzlement. Just as he put it close to his mouth, he smelled a sweet fragrance. This fragrance was familiar and unfamiliar to him. He actually felt that it had been a long time. This was because Zhou Hao had only smelled this kind of fragrance in his previous life. He looked at Li Chufan and Dai Zhanwang in surprise. He saw Li Chufan urging him, try it. Zhou Hao drank the drink without thinking. He immediately felt the familiar sweetness in his throat. Then, he said to Li Chufan, "Uncle Li, I didn't expect you guys to really develop the iced red tea." This crimson drink was the iced red tea that Zhou Hao had asked Li Chufan to develop. He didn't expect Li Chufan to develop it so quickly. Furthermore, after carefully tasting it, the taste of this iced red tea was even better than Master Kang's iced red tea that Zhou Hao had drunk in his previous life. Li Chufan smiled and said, "After we developed the orange fruit juice, we immediately started to develop other types of fruit juice. The iced tea that you mentioned before was personally researched by me and Old Song. After many failures, we finally developed the iced tea. But we only developed the iced tea for the time being. We are still researching the green tea that you mentioned. However, we have already made great progress. At most 4 months at most, 2 months at most, the green tea will be developed." The Old Song he was talking about was the old expert Song Buqian, who had joined him to join the Heavenly River Drink Group's technology development department. Zhou Hao said excitedly, "No need to rush. But I didn't expect you guys to develop the iced red tea so quickly." "It's all thanks to your investment," Li Chufan said. "If it wasn't for the advanced equipment you bought from Germany and the United States, we wouldn't have developed the iced red tea so quickly. Xiao Hao, this is all in return for your investment." "Ha ha ha. Looks like the era of iced tea is coming early," Zhou Hao said with a smile. Dai Zhanwang asked Zhou Hao, "Boss, when are we going to push this iced red tea out of the market?" Zhou Hao waved his hand. "No rush, no rush. It's not too late to wait until our orange fruit is pushed out of the market and make our Heavenly River famous. By the way, Xiao Hao, I heard that the fruit juice factory we used to work in was bought by someone a while ago," Li Chufan said to Zhou Hao. Li Chufan and Song Buoqian, as well as some of the researchers in the Heavenly River Technology Development Department, were all employees of a state-owned beverage factory in Yangzhou City. However, they all came to Zhou Hao's place later. Li Chufan said, "It's not just our original factory. Many fruit juice beverages factories in Yangzhou and even the entire Jiangsu province have been purchased, and many of them are state-owned. So Old Song and I guess that someone is going to build a large beverage company?" "A large beverage group?" Zhou Hao frowned. As far as he knew, there were more than 10 large beverage companies in Jiangsu, and over 100 medium and small beverages companies. The Yangzhou beverage factory Li Chufan and Song Buoqian had worked in was a large beverage company. Many state-owned enterprises had suffered losses, but they were also suppressed by Coca-Cola and other foreign beverage companies. However, the production facilities of those large factories were very complete. The fixed assets alone were not a small amount. If these large enterprises were bought and integrated, they would be able to form a large group. Zhou Hao estimated that if he bought over the dozen large beverage companies in Jiangsu province, the production equipment would be worth billions of RMB. I will get someone to check it out first," Zhou Hao said, "but our orange fruits will still be on the market." Even if there were strong competitors, Zhou Hao had absolute confidence in the orange fruit. After coming out of the Technology Development Department building, Zhou Hao immediately called Zhao Yuqin. During this period of time, Zhao Yuqin had been busy managing the large production base of the Heavenly River Drink Group in Jingyu County. According to the current progress, it would be ready for production at the end of the year. Under Zhao Yuqin's management, the distilled water and mineral water of Heavenly River had occupied most of the market in the south. The reason why they were able to achieve such good results was not only because of the brand effect of the various sports clubs in the country that Zhou Hao had set up, but also because of the celebrity effect of inviting the famous star Guo Fuqing to endorse. Of course, Zhou Hao was only in charge of the strategy development of the general direction. It was Zhao Yuqin's credit that he wanted to make these strategies come true. Right now, Sky River also planned to officially open up the mineral water and distilled water market in the north when he launched the orange fruit. "Xiao Hao, why did you call me just now? Do you know how much I miss you?" Zhao Yuqin's voice came from the phone. Just by listening to Zhao Yuqin's voice, Zhou Hao could already imagine her flirtatious and charming manner. His heart could not help but soften as he said with deep affection, "Sister, I miss you too, you little enemy." Hearing Zhou Hao's affectionate words, Zhao Yuqin could not help but think about it. Many men want to pursue sister, but sister can't forget a hateful little enemy like you. How annoying. I still have to help you look after your family business. I don't care. This time you have to accompany elder sister. Zhou Hao was also very upset. He smiled and said, "Sister, if you take out all the money in the stock exchange markets in Southeast Asia, Japan, Korea, and other places, it would be more than 8 billion USD. Adding the shares of Asia Television Limited and the assets of Heavenly River, it should be 9 billion US dollars. After a pause, he continued, "Sister, I'm confident that I'll be able to earn more than 1 billion USD in 2 months. Zhao Yuqin's face turned red when she heard this. Zhou Hao had promised her that he would not take over her virginity before he earned 10 billion USD. Now, Zhou Hao was about to achieve his goal. In other words, he would not take her virginity until he earned 10 billion USD. Her virginity would soon be handed over to Zhou Hao. "Sister, I'll go on a vacation with you, all right?" Zhou Hao said in a low voice. At that time, this trip would probably be their honeymoon. There was a long silence on the other side of the phone before Zhou Hao heard Zhao Yuqin's soft N sound. In his mind, he fantasized about Zhao Yuqin's blushing and seductive appearance. Zhou Hao wished he could immediately fly to Beijing and have a good chat with his beloved sister. "Oh right, sister, have you heard of anyone buying a large number of beverage companies in Jiangsu during this period of time?" I've never heard of that before," Zhao Yuqin said. "I will get someone to help you ask." After chatting with Zhao Yuqin for a while, Zhou Hao hung up. For the next 2 days, Zhou Hao stayed at Yan's house. Although Zhou Liren had moved to the factory's staff dormitory, he would often come over. He would either chat and drink tea with the two elders, or help Yin Mudong and Yin Munan do some chores. That enthusiasm made the Yin family's attitude towards him a little better. They would even let him stay for dinner. Zhou Hao had always been cold and indifferent to him, and his attitude did not change much. Very soon, it was the day Orange Fruit went public. Early in the morning, a convoy of dozens of trucks arrived at the factory. They transported the 200,000 boxes of orange grains and distributed them to the various supermarkets and wholesale markets in Guangzhou and Shenzhen. 2. At the same time, advertisements made by Heavenly River, Sales Department, and Advertising Department were broadcast by Guo Fuqing and Lu Dehua, the two Heavenly Kings. The location of the advertisement was on the beach in Sanya, where the sun was bright and the sea was bright. The content was that Guo Fuqing and Lu Dehua, who were playing a pair of friends, met a beauty in a bikini when they were playing on the beach. The two of them were fighting to pursue her. But the beauty said to the two Heavenly Kings, "Whoever has orange fruits, I'll go out with them." Therefore, Guo Fuqing and Lu Dehua tried their best to chase after the small truck that happened to pass by with the orange fruit advertisement printed on it. While Lu Dehua and Guo Fuqing were sweating profusely as they chased after the truck, the beauty smiled sweetly at the camera lens and said, "Summer passion, I only want orange fruit." This advertisement that lasted for more than 20 seconds was made according to Zhou Hao's instructions by the advertising department of Sky River. At this time, such a storyline was very new to the audience. Moreover, it was unprecedented for Lu Dehua and Guo Fuqing to appear in an advertisement at the same time. Plus, the image and the quality of the advertisement were very good. Therefore, the moment the advertisement was broadcasted, it immediately made the public remember the words, orange fruit. At the same time, there was a short follow-up to this advertisement. When Lu Dehua and Guo Fuqing came back with orange fruit, they found that the beauty had already left with a little boy of about 6 or 7 years old. The little boy was holding orange fruit, and the two Heavenly Kings could only look and sigh. And the following advertisement slogan was sweet meat. The two advertisements were broadcasted in turn, allowing orange fruit to enter the eyes of the consumers at the fastest speed. Especially since Guo Fuqing and Lu Dehua's popularity was as high as the sky, it made the young people even more interested in orange fruit. Zhou Hao, Yan Qingqing, Li Chufan, Dai Zhanwang, and Song Buoqian were all sitting in the office watching the orange fruit advertisement on TV. Yan Qingqing covered her mouth and smiled after watching the two consecutive advertisements. She said to Zhou Hao, "Xiao Hao, did you really think of this commercial? How did you think of it? It's so funny." Dai Zhanwang also smiled and said, that's right. Let's not talk about those young people. Just us old people who saw this advertising industry wanted to buy a bottle of orange fruit to try it out. I think the bikini beauty in this advertisement is going to be popular. After all, the two Heavenly Kings are playing her role as the green leaf. Zhou Hao said with a smile. The bikini beauty in the commercial was originally a model with no reputation in Guangzhou. Later, she was chosen by the advertising department of Sky River. After a few rounds of screening, she decided to put on this commercial with Guo Fuqing and Lu Dehua. Zhou Hao had guessed that she would become popular because of this advertisement, so he had asked North Pole Star to sign her long ago. At this time, the phone in the office anxiously rang. Dai Zhanwang hurriedly went to pick it up. "HM? What? It's all sold out? Good. We still have stock here. Good." After putting down the phone, Dai Zhanwang excitedly said to Zhou Hao, "Boss, the orange grains in the supermarket and wholesale market were all bought by consumers. The 200,000 boxes of orange grains were sold out in one afternoon. Those supermarket and wholesale markets want to add orders to our orders." Li Chufan and Song Buoqian were also very happy when they heard this. Originally, they were worried about the market prospects of orange and fruit. After all, there had never been any drinks with fruit in China or even in the world. Now, this news had swept away all the worries in their hearts. Song Buoqian said, "Then let them hurry over." However, he heard Zhou Hao wave his hand. "No need. Zhanwang, you tell the people in the sales department to make a statement to the entire country. Tell them that our Heavenly River officially invites a dealer, and that it's a provincial-level dealer." Previously, Heavenly River's orange fruits were only sold to the supermarkets and wholesale markets in Guangzhou and Shenzhen through a temporary order. They didn't sign a long-term contract. Because those supermarkets and wholesale markets didn't have much confidence in orange fruits, Zhou Hao had already set a strategy for the sales of the orange and orange fruits a long time ago. He just did not implement this strategy before the name of the orange and orange fruit spread. Now, the fact that the orange and orange fruits had swept across the beverage market in the country was about to arrive. Zhou Hao did not need to sign contracts with the supermarkets or wholesale markets one by one. He directly invited the dealers to join him and push the orange and orange fruits out of the market. As the two advertisements were broadcasted and the taste were excellent, orange grains would definitely become more and more popular. So Zhou Hao did not need to worry about no dealers coming. Even Tianhe did not need to lower his voice to the distributors like other beverage companies. Instead, he would be able to take the initiative. Just as Zhou Hao had expected, as the two new advertisements of orange fruit were broadcasted all over the country, the name orange fruit also became famous all over the Jiangnan Great Land, and Heavenly River also became famous. Then, after Sky River made a declaration to invite the distributors of each province to join the alliance, the number of Sky River was almost blown up by the distributors of each province. Those distributors who wanted to get the sales rights of the orange and orange provinces also came. In Guangdong, Fujian, Jiangsu, and other economically developed provinces, there were dozens of wealthy distributors. As for choosing the distributors, Zhou Hao left it to the sales department of Tianhe. The choice mainly depended on the dealer's reputation and strength, as well as the franchise fees that he could pay. The franchise fee was also determined by the economic situation and population of each province. In addition, the dealer also had to pay a deposit. The deposit was based on the length of the contract they had signed with Tianhe in the shortest amount of time. It was 2 years, and the longest was 5 years. In the end, the franchise fee and the deposit collected by Sky River from these dealers were more than 1 billion renminbi. Therefore, before Heavenly River could sell all the orange fruits, he had already collected all the costs and profits. In the next week, as the orange and orange fruits were placed on the shelves of the stores in the provinces, a whirlwind of yellow orange and orange rose in the domestic beverage market. If the two advertisements were used to attract consumers and promote the reputation of the orange and orange fruits, then the good taste and taste of the orange and orange fruits would leave the consumers behind and make them returnees. In the past week, all the orange and orange fruits stored in the warehouse of Heavenly River had been moved away by the distributors of the various provinces. Then, they kept urging Heavenly River to increase the supply to meet the demand of the market. Tianhe also launched apple juice, pomegranate juice, grape juice, and other juice drinks. They were also popular among consumers and became the most famous beverage company in the country. The sudden rise of Sky River Drink Group attracted the Coca-Cola Company, which had been operating in China for many years. When they found out that there was a huge mineral water production base in Jingyu County, Coca-Cola Company even sent representatives to purchase from Sky River. The price offered by the Coca-Cola Company was very high. It was equivalent to the assets and production value of the two Tianhe companies. However, Zhou Hao rejected their suggestion in the end. He had planned to take back the beverage market from Coca-Cola and other foreign companies. How could he agree to it? That night, Zhou Hao took advantage of the time when Yin Mudong and Yin Munin went out for a walk and touched Yin Qingqing's room. During this period of time, Yin Mudong and the others were at home, and Zhou Hao was busy with the affairs of Heavenly River, so he had not been intimate with Yin Qingqing. Now that the matter of Heavenly River was on track and Yin Mudong and the others were not at home, Zhou Hao finally found an opportunity. Naturally, he would not let it go just like that. When he walked into Yin Qingqing's room, he saw her lying on her bed reading a book. Because there were many mountains and trees in Huayu village, and now it was midsummer, Yin Qingqing's bed was also surrounded by mosquito nets, making Yin Qingqing look even more hazy and beautiful inside. Zhou Hao gently closed the door and quietly walked to the bed. He pushed open the mosquito net with both hands and threw himself at Yin Qingqing. Half of his body was pressed against Yin Qingqing's body. Yin Qingqing was frightened by him and cried out in surprise. When she saw that it was Zhou Hao, she said angrily, "Xiao Hao, why are you so scary again? You are so naughty. Even if I am not bad, you will not like it." Zhou Hao smiled and touched Yin Qingqing's perky, but with his right hand. He rubbed the extremely elastic soft meat. Yin Qingqing's body became even more limp after being touched by him. She even made a few deep nasal sounds. Zhou Hao's blood boiled when he heard this. He turned around and let Yin Qingqing lie on his body. At the same time, he kissed her tender lips. Xiao Hao. Yin Qingqing only let out a soft moan and let Zhou Hao do whatever he wanted. Because she was at home, Yin Qingqing's body was covered with thin household clothes. If she stuck close to Zhou Hao's body, it was very easy to know Zhou Hao's body's reaction. The fierce thing under Zhou Hao was a few layers of fabric that covered her waist and abdomen. It grinded Yin Qingqing until her entire body heated up. When Yin Qingqing saw Zhou Hao's hand unbutton her shirt, She quickly let go of Zhou Hao and said with a red face, "No need, Xiao Hao. Mom and Dad will be back at any time." Zhou Hao also knew that it was unrealistic to ask Yan Qingqing for help now, so he let out a long sigh. Seeing Zhou Hao's depressed look, Yan Qingqing kissed his forehead and eyes with a heartache and said gently, "Xiao Hao, don't be like this. Cousin has promised you that when the time is right, cousin will give it to you. Okay?" And, looking at Yan Qingqing's gentle and considerate face, Zhou Hao could not bear to blame her. After that, the two of them felt that the atmosphere in the room was very easy to get into trouble, especially when the two of them were burning with fire. Thus, Zhou Hao brought Yan Qingqing to the rooftop. Both of them lay on it and looked up at the bright and romantic starry sky above their heads. There were no dark clouds in the sky above Xia Yi. Stars that were shining with light were hanging on top of it. It was very fascinating. Zhou Hao and Yan Qingqing had their fingers clasped together as they quietly enjoyed this peaceful and romantic world. They felt as if they had no more regrets in their lives. "Xiao Hao, do you still remember? When we were young, Grandpa Zhang from the neighbor's house came to our house with his grandson. That grandson of mine is 2 years younger than me. It's reasonable for him to call me elder sister." Yan Qingqing looked up at the distant and deep starry sky and said softly, "But you forced me to not call me big sister. You even said that I'm your only big sister. Only you can call me big sister. Because of this, you even fought with him and made that grandson of Grandpa Zhang cry. You've been so overbearing since you were young. However, no matter how overbearing you are still the Xiao Hao that I love the most. Xiao Hao, why aren't you saying anything? Xiao Hao." She turned around and looked at Zhou Hao. She found that Zhou Hao's eyes were tightly shut, and there was a soft snoring sound coming from his nose. He had actually fallen asleep. Yan Qingqing was annoyed. However, when she saw Zhou Hao sleeping peacefully, her heart trembled slightly. She muttered to herself, "Xiao Hao, when you sleep, you look really good." She quietly moved closer and kissed the corner of Zhou Hao's mouth. 2 red clouds also appeared on her face. At night, Yan Qingqing was about to sleep in her room when someone knocked on the door. Yan Qingqing originally thought that it was Zhou Hao. She could not help saying, "Mom, Dad, Grandma and Grandpa are back. Why hasn't he given up yet?" She got up from the bed and opened the door. She saw that the person standing at the door wasn't Zhou Hao, but her mother, Lu Guifeng. "Mom? It's so late. What's going on?" Yan Qingqing asked doubtfully. Lu Guifeng pointed at her nose. "You stinky girl, can't Mom chat with you?" As she spoke, she walked into Yan Qingqing's room. Yan Qingqing closed the door and returned to her room. She saw that Lu Guifeng had already sat on her bed. Yan Qingqing also walked over and sat beside Lu Guifeng. Like when she was young, she hugged Lu Guifeng's hand and leaned against her shoulder. Lu Guifeng lovingly caressed her hair. "Did you have a good time in the city?" Yan Qingqing nodded. "Yes. Aunt Lu and Aunt Lu are very good to me. They taught me a lot." "Yeah, every time you come back, Mom will find that you have changed a lot. Mom will not be able to recognize you anymore." Lu Guifeng sighed. "Mom, what are you talking about? No matter how you change, Qingqing will always be your daughter." Yan Qingqing said. Lu Guifeng laughed. "Haha, Mom knows your filial piety. Sigh, speaking of which, we should really thank your aunt and the others. If it wasn't for their help, we would still have to live a full and hungry life. I'm afraid you would also be ruined by that **starred from the Wei clan. It's all thanks to your aunt and Xiao Hao that we can live so well now." "Mom, I know. By the way, Qingqing," Wang Yao said. Lu Guifeng asked her daughter, "Have you met any boys you like in the city?" Yan Qingqing immediately blushed. "Mom, I don't have any. Who would want a village girl like me?" Lu Guifeng held Yan Qingqing's pretty face. "Who said no one wants her? Our Qingqing is so beautiful. Who knows how many boys are fighting for her? However, compared to you, Xiao Hao is more likable. Now, many people in the village have planted fruit trees. Those fruits are sold to your father's company or to Xiao Hao's factory. Everyone in the village knows that your father's company is also run by Xiao Hao. Many people in the village work in Xiao Hao's factory. Also, even the road from the village to the outside is also built by Xiao Hao with money." She said to Yan Qingqing, "Xiao Hao is the benefactor of our entire Huayu village. Plus, he is so handsome. Qingqing, you don't know how many people come to our house every day to matchmake Xiao Hao and fight to marry our daughter to Xiao Hao." When Yan Qingqing heard this, a little jealousy appeared in her heart. She muttered to herself, "Xiao Hao doesn't like them. What did you say?" The girl asked. "Oh, it's nothing." Yan Qingqing hurriedly shook her head. At this moment, Lu Guifeng looked at her daughter with a smile on her face, making Yan Qingqing feel uneasy. "Mom, What are you looking at? Lu Guifeng smiled and said, Qingqing, do you still remember that when Xiaohao was young, he always talked to us about marrying you when he grew up? Yin Qingqing did not expect Lu Guifeng to suddenly bring this up. Her face immediately flushed red as she lowered her head and explained, Mom, Xiaohao was still young at that time. How can those words be taken seriously? However, she saw that Lu Guifeng was still smiling very brightly. How can I not take it seriously? Back then, your grandfather and grandmother also told Xiaohao that when the two of you grow up, they will give you to Xiaohao. Aya, that was like what happened yesterday. I didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, you and Xiaohao are already so old. Yin Qingqing didn't dare to think about why Lu Guifeng would tell her all this. She was afraid that her thoughts would become an extravagant hope. She heard Lu Guifeng say, in the past, Xiaohao was very naughty. No matter whether it was me, your father, your uncle, or your grandfather and grandmother, they did not expect him to have such achievements today. We all thought that as long as Xiaohao and Atong could live a safe and stable life, it would be good. And now, just the fruit company he opened for your father and uncle can earn hundreds of millions a year. Your father said that the profits from the beverages produced by Heavenly River can be calculated in 100 million a year. Lu Guifeng sighed. How much is 100 million? According to your father, even if it was exchanged for 100 million in cash, it would still take a few trucks to transport it all. Also, Atong had said before that Xiaohao still had investments in the stock market, so it was unknown how much money he had earned. At such a young age, Xiaohao has already achieved such an achievement. There's no other person in the world who can achieve such an achievement. Yin Qingqing rolled her eyes at Lu Guifeng. Mom, you seem to have fallen into the eyes of money. Even if Xiaohao didn't earn that much money, there's no second person in the world. When Lu Guifeng heard this, she gently patted Yin Qingqing's forehead. Who would say that about their mother? I'm saying this to tell you how outstanding Xiaohao is. If your mother was that kind of greedy person, then when that be asterisk starred from the way family wanted to marry you, I would have sent you out long ago. Oh, Yin Qingqing said softly. Lu Guifeng grabbed her hand and looked at her seriously. She said, Qingqing, tell Mom honestly, do you like Xiaohao? Lu Guifeng's sudden question stunned Yin Qingqing. She subconsciously shook her head. No, not at all. Lu Guifeng frowned. Qingqing, you didn't lie to your mom? Mom, how would I dare to lie to you? Yin Qingqing lowered her head, not daring to look at Lu Guifeng. You brat, you learned bad things in the city after a period of time? Lu Guifeng scolded with a smile. Your father and uncle can't tell. You were born by me. Don't tell me I can't tell. I've noticed it since the last time you came back. The way you look at Xiaohao isn't right. It doesn't look like the way elder sister looks at younger brother. Yin Qingqing couldn't help but tremble in her heart. She blinked and asked, Then, what kind of gaze is that? It's the gaze of Sister Qing looking at Brother Qing. Lu Guifeng said, Your mother has also been in a relationship before, so naturally she knows. Qing, your mother already knows that you like Xiaohao. What about Xiaohao? Does he like you? Yin Qingqing pouted. You already said that Xiaohao is so powerful now. Why would he like a village girl like me? You little girl, are you still playing dumb with Mom? Lu Guifeng said with a face full of fear, Xiaohao looks at you the same way your dad looked at me back then. Doesn't he like you? Let me ask you, are the two of you getting along already? When did this happen? How could Yin Qingqing withstand Lu Guifeng's experienced Taoist? Even her neck turned red. Mom, what do you mean by getting along? Why do you speak so shamelessly? That's right. Now that we have Xiaohao, we don't need Mom anymore. Of course, Mom doesn't know shame. Lu Guifeng smiled and said, But I see that you are still a virgin. It seems that Xiaohao should stop being polite to you. Yin Qing blinked her eyes. She did not expect that Lu Guifeng, who had only studied for a few years, would actually stop caring about love. She even said such words. Then she heard Lu Guifeng say, However, even if you like each other, it is no longer the same as before. You and Xiaohao are cousins. Although our village does not oppose it, you will not be able to get a marriage certificate. Hearing Lu Guifeng's words, Yin Qingqing felt a headache. Her mother had actually thought of getting married. However, even though she already knew that she and Zhou could not become a proper husband and wife, Yin Qingqing still felt a little regretful. However, our villagers don't really care about marriage certificates. Many of them only hold wedding banquets and invite relatives and friends over for a meal. It's considered to be a married couple. Lu Guifeng said to Yin Qingqing, Qingqing, if you really have that intention with Xiaohao, then choose an auspicious day to hold a wedding banquet in the village. Let the villagers know that you are Xiaohao's woman. Seeing Yin Qingqing's hesitant expression, Lu Guifeng said, Ching Ching, you have to hurry up. A good boy like Xiao Hao, if you are slow, you will be snatched away by other girls. Yin Qingqing smiled bitterly in her heart. Even if she took action now, Xiao Hao is not just her. However, she still asked, Mom, if I am really with Xiao Hao, will Dad, Grandpa, and Grandma agree? 2. How can they not agree? Your dad doesn't need to say anything. He treats Xiao Hao like his son. If Xiao Hao could be his son-in-law, he would wake up laughing even in his dreams. As for your grandparents, they love you and Xiao Hao the most. Your grandma also said that our Qingqing is so beautiful. Which boy in the village is worthy of her? Only Xiao Hao is qualified to be with you. Seeing Yin Qingqing still blushing and lowering her head, Lu Guifeng said, All right, Mom won't force you. After all, relationships can't be forced. Only you can like it. Mom didn't say anything else. But remember, you must hurry up. Then, Lu Guifeng patted her daughter's hand and left. And tonight was also destined to be Yin Qingqing's sleepless night. At the same time, Zhou Hao was currently on the phone with Song Jiahao in his room. He had no idea that Lu Guifeng and the others were plotting to give his daughter to him. In fact, Song Jiahao was the one who called Zhou Hao. Those international financial speculators who had tasted the sweetness in Southeast Asia had extended their hands to Hong Kong, aiming at Hong Kong's rates. Furthermore, Taiwan had suddenly given up on defending the exchange rate of the new Taiwan currency, causing the value of the new Taiwan currency to depreciate by more than 3% within a day. This caused the pressure on the stock market and the exchange market in Hong Kong to become even greater. Today, on October 23rd, the Hang Seng Index fell by more than 1,200 points under the impact of those financial speculators. This was completely in line with the history that Zhou Hao knew in his previous life. According to this history, Hong Kong's stock index would fall by 1,600 points on the 28th day, and the overall drop would exceed 9,000 points. Nanami Kaoru had told Zhou Hao about the idea of these financial speculators targeting Hong Kong when they left Hong Kong. She also reminded him to be careful. Even without Nanami Kaoru's reminder, Zhou Hao knew that this would happen, but even so, Nanami Kaoru still had good intentions towards Zhou Hao. As for the reason why Hong Kong's stock market fell, it was because of Julian. In addition to the impact of Robeson, George Soros, and other international speculators, there were also some people in Hong Kong who had a large amount of capital and wanted their own funds to suppress Hong Kong's stock market in order to make a huge profit in the futures market. These people bought a large number of air bills in Hong Kong's futures market. As long as Hong Kong's stock market continued to fall, they would be able to obtain tens of times the profit. Zhou Hao naturally did not have a good impression of these people who were passionate about making national trouble profit. Therefore, Zhou Hao instructed Song Jiahao to lead Zhou Hao's operation team to immediately buy more air bills from those people who made money from national trouble profit when it fell below 9,000 points. Because Zhou Hao knew that government of Hong Kong would insist on the current exchange rate system and would never give up, allowing the Hang Seng Index to increase by more than 10,000 points. If there was such an increase in the index, those who wanted to make a fortune during the national crisis would suffer heavy losses. And what Zhou Hao wanted to earn was the money of these guys. In fact, the operation of the market was a bet between buying empty and buying more people. Zhou Hao planned to invest 3 billion Hong Kong dollars, which was about 400 million US dollars. He was afraid that he could earn twice the amount from those guys who wanted to make money during the national crisis. After this crisis in Hong Kong, South Korea would face the financial storm in November. At that time, it would cause a bigger stock market storm and affect Japan, resulting in the domino effect. Zhou Hao's plan in Japan and South Korea had already been completed. He was just waiting for this financial storm to blow up the two countries, and then he would be able to recover a lot of profits. After discussing with Song Jiahao for a long time and asking him to arrange the work of the operation team, Zhou Hao put down the phone. But just as he put down the phone, it rang again. The number displayed was Zhao Yuqin's. Zhou Hao excitedly picked up the phone and put it next to his ear. He called out excitedly, "Sister." "Aya." It messed up Sister's heart. Zhao Yuqin said with a smile on the other side of the phone. "Sister is looking for you for a serious matter. Do you remember the last time you asked Sister to check who was buying those beverage companies in Jiangsu province?" Yes. Of course I remember." "Sister, did you find out?" Zhou Hao asked. "Yes, I have. There are indeed people buying beverage companies in Jiangsu province. And you know this person." Zhao Yuqin said, "That person is Liang Fengshan, the son of the provincial governor of Jiangsu, Liang Zhoutang." Jukin Sataku drove a luxurious Audi to a newly built 18-story commercial building in the downtown area of Yangzhou. A security guard in a suit and leather shoes quickly came up to open the door for Jukin Sataku and said respectfully, Mr. Shangguan? Where's Mr. Liang? Is he back yet? Jukin Sutaku asked casually. The security guard nodded. Young Master Liang is back. Jukin Sutaku got off the car, and the security guard helped him drive the car to the parking lot. Jukin Sutaku walked into the building and saw that the lobby on the first floor was very spacious. The bright yellow marble floor was neat and tidy. There was a huge, luxurious crystal lamp hanging on the tall skyflower. The wall behind the counter was inlaid with the words, Fengshan Group. Sitting behind the counter were two young and beautiful female employees. When they saw the tall and handsome Jukin Sutaku walk in, their faces turned slightly red, and one of them said to Jukin Sutaku, Mr. Shangguan, young Master Liang is already in the general manager's office. He said that you should go and find him when you come back. Jukin Sutaku nodded slightly, then walked straight into the elevator and pressed the 18th floor button. After the elevator door closed, the two female employees in the lobby who were in charge of receiving guests started whispering. Do you think Mr. Shangguan has a girlfriend? One of them asked curiously. He's so tall and handsome, and he's also the deputy general manager of the company. I heard that many female employees in many departments like him. She held her chin, her eyes filled with worry. I wonder if he'll agree to let me be his girlfriend if I confess to him? Another person chuckled and said, Of course not. Look at how infatuated you are. How could Mr. Shangguan like you? If you want to be his girlfriend, I should be the one to do it. What kind of infatuated look is that? You are the one who is infatuated. Every time you see Mr. Shangguan, you are so infatuated that you can't find the north. While the two girls were having a heated discussion, Jukin Sutaku had arrived at the 18th floor of the highest floor and was standing in front of a door. There was a sect on the door, and the name written on it was General Manager's Office. Jukin Sutaku knocked on the door. Young Master Liang, it's me, Jukin. Wait outside first. A hurried male voice came from the office. Jukin Sutaku quietly stood in front of the door. After about 15 minutes, the male voice came from inside again. Come in. Jukin Sutaku pushed open the door and walked in. The general manager's office was very large. It was as big as half a basketball court, and it was very luxurious. On one side was a huge French window, and on the other side of the wall was a very large landscape painting. On the painting, there were 4 words written in a grass book, World Engulfing Whale. In front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window was a wide semicircle office desk. On the large chair in front of the desk sat a young man in his 20s. He was the only son of the Jiangsu provincial governor, Liang Zhoutang, Liang Fengshan. Next to Liang Fengshan stood a female secretary. This female secretary wore a yellow professional dress and was very beautiful. At this moment, her face was flushed red and there were a few drops of sweat on her forehead. Her long hair was also a little messy. Jukin Sutaku only glanced at her for a moment before walking to the opposite side of Liang Fengshan. He bowed slightly and said, Young Master Liang. Yes, sir. Liang Fengshan responded faintly. Have you gone to the fruit juice factory in Yangzhou to take a look? How is it over there? Can it be put into production directly? It's not a problem to put it into production directly, because the production line of the Yangzhou fruit juice factory was bought from Germany a few years ago. The production ability is very good, and the workers are also very skilled. Jukin Sutaku said slowly. Liang Fengshan sneered. Since the production conditions are so good, why does the Yangzhou fruit juice factory still suffer losses every year? Jukin Sutaku raised his eyelids and looked at Liang Fengshan. He knew that Liang Fengshan also knew that the main reason why the Yangzhou fruit juice factory suffered losses every year was because of the overweight management organization. The leaders of the factory ignored the benefits of the factory and had been greedy to fill their private pockets for many years. This was also the problem of many state-owned enterprises. It was because the unsatisfying vermin had eaten up a large company. Of course, Jukin Sutaku did not say that. Instead, he said, the reason why Yangzhou Juice Factory loses money every year is mainly because of its management strategy being outdated. The last time it launched a new product was 5 years ago. Therefore, when the fruit juice products from foreign companies enter the Yangzhou fruit juice factory does not have any ability to compete with them. Liang Fengshan nodded and said with a smile, the Yangzhou fruit juice factory is a typical example. Many state-owned fruit juice companies that we bought back have declined because of this reason. But our group will not make the same mistake again, Jukin Sutaku said. Fortunately, young Master Liang has outstanding abilities and uses the modern company's management system to operate our Fengshan group. Young Master Liang, the fruit juice company that we bought has almost been consolidated. As long as we can introduce new products, we will be able to enter the market immediately. Hee hee, didn't our company already develop that fresh orange juice? Liang Fengshan said, "You have to start producing fresh orange juice as soon as possible. Also, you have to do the TV advertisements for me as soon as possible. We cannot lose to orange juice." 2. Jukin Sataka nodded and said, "The operation of orange grains is really successful. On one hand, the taste and texture are excellent. On the other hand, they can actually invite Lu Dehua and Guo Fuqing to shoot advertisements together and capture the younger generation of consumers in one go. Now, the market share of the orange and orange fruit is rising very quickly in the country. Even Coca-Cola has to avoid it." Liang Fengshan snorted and said fiercely, "What's so great about it? I will beat them sooner or later. Sooner or later, I will trample Zhou Hao, that be asterisk starred, under my feet." Ever since Liang Fengshan lost to Zhou Hao in the previous game, he had been holding a grudge against him. This was not only because Zhou Hao had snatched Li Ruolan back, but also because he had made Liang Fengshan, who had never suffered any setbacks, suffer a great loss. In fact, Liang Fengshan had long found out that Li Chufan and Song Buoqian had brought a group of technical developers from the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory to the Heavenly River Drink Group. After a thorough investigation, Liang Fengshan found out that the owner of the Heavenly River was Zhou Hao. From his father Liang Zhendong, Liang Fengshan had found out that the Zhao family in the capital was behind Zhou Hao. As the governor of a province, Liang Zhoutang naturally had his own connections in the capital. Being born in the home of a government official, Liang Fengshan also knew how powerful the Zhao family was in the country. Compared to the Zhao family, Liang Zhentong and the rest were naturally far inferior. The faction that he belonged to didn't dare to provoke the Zhao family. In fact, in China, even if there were different factions, it was very rare for conflicts to break out between them. In terms of politics, it was a matter of constant negotiations and compromises. However, Liang Fengshan could not swallow this anger. He thought that since he could not defeat Zhou Hao in politics, he would fight a commercial war. That was why he started this Fengshan group. When Liang Zhoutang saw that his son did not start those unorthodox businesses and started a business, he was very supportive. "Young Master Liang, I just went to the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory to take a look at the files there. I found something." Jukin Sataka said, when Li Chufan and Song Buoqian were still working in the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory, they applied for a research project from the factory. They wanted to push a new type of fruit juice developed by the Technology Development Department onto the market, but the leaders of the factory did not agree. In the end, he put this project on hold. And that new type of fruit juice is the orange fruit produced by Tianhe. In his heart, he despised the leaders of the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory. He thought that they were all short-sighted and only cared about the benefits in front of them. If the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory had introduced orange fruits, they would not have been able to make losses every year until they were bought by the Fengshan Group. When Liang Fengshan heard this, his expression changed. "Zhongzhe, you are saying that the formula for orange fruits belongs to the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory? If the orange fruit formula belonged to the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory, then now that the Fengshan Group had acquired the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory, the orange fruit formula was equivalent to the Fengshan Group's assets." However, Jukin Sutaku shook his head. Unfortunately, the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory did not approve Li Chufan's application, nor did it include the formula into the Fruit Juice Factory's assets. So according to the law, the ownership of the formula belongs to Li Chufan and Song Buoqian. Also, Tianhe should have applied for legal protection for the formula. Damn it, those guys in the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory are really stupid. After hearing Jukin Sataka's words, Liang Fengshan couldn't help but scold the leader of the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory. However, young Master Liang, I think our group can file a lawsuit against the court, accusing Tianhe of infringing on our assets and stealing our orange fruit formula. Jukin Sataka said again. Liang Fengshan looked at him in confusion. Didn't you just say that the orange fruit formula doesn't belong to the Yangzhou Fruit Juice Factory? Then how can we sue Tianhe? Not necessarily. Jukin Sutaku rubbed his chin. If we can get the formula for the orange fruit, it will be different. Besides, our goal is not to get the formula of the orange fruit, but to destroy the reputation of Tianhe and publicize our company. Even if we lose the final lawsuit, people will still recognize our Fengshan Group. When our more than orange fruit enters the market, things will be much smoother. Huh, this is a good move. Liang Fengshan looked at Jukin Sutaku with a joyful expression on his face. Jukin Sutaku also continued, so, the more high-profile we are, the better. It would be best if the whole country knows about it. However, Heavenly River is now very famous in the country. As long as the news of Heavenly River invading our company's assets is spread, even if we don't publicize it, it will definitely cause a huge sensation. Liang Fengshan nodded and said, that's right, that's right. Dong Na, contact Jiangsu television station immediately. I want to let the whole country know that Heavenly River has taken over our Fengshan group's assets through them. The secretary called Dong Na responded. Liang Fengshan said again, as for the orange fruit formula, Jukin Sutaku immediately said, when there is a great reward, there will always be brave men. I think the people in the Milky Way group are not united. Young Master Liang